9 o'clock. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. First on the agenda is approve the minutes from February 13th.
So moved.
I'll second. Dawn's moved, Steve seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Sheriff's going to or do we want to wait for those miscellaneous motions for him, or roll on through them?
They're just new hires, so you
Just
don't
new
have to,
hires?
yeah.
Miscellaneous motions, based upon the recommendation of the sheriff, move to authorize director chairman to sign Coffee County payroll notice for Sheldon LaFleur, deputy sheriff, new hire, full-time, classification 40-1, wage of $20.96, effective 2/13/23.
So moved.
Second. Tom's moved, Steve seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next one, based on the recommendation of the sheriff, moves to authorize director chairman to sign the revised Coffee County payroll notice for Christopher Lawson, deputy sheriff, new hire, full-time, classification from 25-1 to 40-1, wage from $17.46 to $20.96, effective 2/15/23.
Second that.
Steve's moved, Wade seconds. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Move authorize director chairman to sign revised CP 4U, which the revision was, everything was corrected but the title up top for the year 2023, current yearly salary effective 3/1/2023. That was the only thing that was not corrected. Everything else was right.
Also moved.
Bones moved.
I'll second.
Steve second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, so, District Chairman, and then parking sense. That's what I just discussed, was it not?
No, this is just,
Oh, okay.
we updated the, in order to send it out.
Okay. Last one, move to authorize director chairman to sign the advisory memorandum to department heads and elected officials regarding employee step increases, wage classification chart, and forms CP4U and CP5s. I'll move.
Second.
Jesse's moved, Tom seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I have one more motion if you want to do it real quick.
Okay.
I just got this done this morning. It's a letter from Savin to apply for the grant for the citywide planning and walking trails. He said we need to get this in this week. I just made the motion there, and then I can print off copies of the letter if you want to see it real quick. That's in order for him to get that letter for the grant in.
Letter of support, basically.
Yeah.
Is this what Saban's working on for us,
Uh-huh.
Angie?
Yes, for the, I'll print the letter for you real quick. Like I said, he just sent it in, so.
I think it's to start the bridge between New Straw and Burlington.
This is, no, that's for all of it.
Oh, it's for all
Yeah.
of it.
The walking trails, Kansas City as well. And
doesn't specify.
It doesn't specify one,
No, it's just trails.
yes. We tabled this if somebody wants to discuss it more, and I'd like to. If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read this letter in thorough without taking up everybody else's time this morning.
Okay.
And then we can do it at round table or something.
We'll table this till Wednesday. Okay, I think that's the end of the. Call on Connie Mars. County Treasurer update.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Oh, fabulous.
We have valuation notices going out March 1st. Our house values are going up approximately 5%. Our commercial valuations are going up around 7 to 8%. And then kind of FYI on what my office does, I've printed out some guides that PVD property valuation gives us that we have to follow. So I'm just going to pass these around. If anybody wants a copy of it, they're more than welcome to come get one in my office.
Okay.
And then also I was going to ask, I've got 2 employees that's getting ready to retire in the next year that's been there for a while. And I was going to ask, it takes about a year to train a field staff appraiser. And I was going to see if I could go ahead and hire a new field staff appraiser so I could get them trained before one of my employees retires in about a year.
That's one of the biggest things I see in the future is replacement of.
I think we're going to need that coming up pretty quick. So that's why I thought I would need to get somebody hired and trained right away. So, and I do have it in my budget.
You got 2 retiring this year.
One this year and one right after the
Okay.
first of next year.
So within a year, then?
Yeah.
It makes sense to me, I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah.
Could I advertise?
Better to do it now than to wait till when you need it.
Exactly. So it gives me time to train them before we
Sure.
need that. So if that's okay, I'll put it out for advertisement. Okay?
Is the need to replace both of them, Connie?
No, just one for now.
I'm sorry?
Just one for now. For the field appraiser, yes. Just one for now. The other one's gonna be an office position.
So we just need to.
Just one field appraiser for now.
I would,
Is that all right?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
thank
put
you.
that in a motion, or I think it's okay to move on.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Connie.
Yep.
9:05. Time Clock Research Committee, discuss testing exact time clock system.
I seen an
Sure,
email.
that's you. Well, so a week and a half ago, we rolled out the exact time clock system. It kind of went pretty fast as we were putting people in, and it started sending emails out like I told you last week. Well, anyway, after we got the technology issue fixed, then we were going to test it to see if it was working for everyone, and we found out that it's not going to work for everyone. Mostly the sheriff's office has certain things they need in their office. There's a 28-day pay period and 171 hours, and it just doesn't allow that detailed information to be put in to calculate their time correctly. Am I wrong or correct on that?
Yes, she said that wasn't an option.
So I would rather that we have a time clock system that works for everybody than having 2 or 3 different time clocks. And then also Road and Bridge, your issues were, you want to explain?
So basically what all we track, it'd be nice to be able to, instead of having 2 separate programs, have one that'll work, because we keep track of inventory of rock, work orders, basically anything for our yearly engineer report that we have to submit every year. Instead of having to manually calculate everything, it'll make it easier just for everything to combine into one. one, if we can find something that way.
But the actual hours, the time calculations did not work. Not just because you wanted to
Right,
integrate
no,
with something
right.
else.
Right.
Okay.
And then we had
Just-
issues with, oh, sorry.
I mean, just because it's not gonna work for, I mean, there's probably gonna be some departments that have.
Well,
two
yeah,
types
but
of systems.
if we're looking into a system, you know, be nice to look out if there's something else out there. If not, it's not a big deal, but
And then with also noxious weed, do you want to explain your issue?
Well,
Todd?
We had a system that worked for us, which was just an actual time clock and time cards, and the employees have been doing this for the last 20-some years. So that's worked perfect for us. And with this exact time, we had one employee that didn't take off any time for lunch for the whole week, and he was just the only one. We had two guys basically within 10 feet of each other went to clock in, and it said one of them was outside the geo fence.
Which I
so-
think we kind of corrected some of that, did we not?
Well, it didn't correct when you moved
Okay,
that day when I was up here.
okay.
And she's got some more notes. You wanna share
Oh, it's
some of
just,
those?
I mean, not as big as the not working for the sheriff's office and Road and Bridge, ours is little.
Well, you guys have comp time too.
Yeah.
That's an issue, and it's not able to, I mean, they can go in and clock in under comp time, but then how that is gonna work, you know, we're all
To
just
keep
not-
track of it.
So,
You know, apparently it's worked for other counties. Wonder why it isn't gonna work for ours.
Well, they can't change the hours that the sheriff's department were needing changed.
yeah, 'cause it's set up on a 40-hour work week, which would work for most offices,
It'll work for offices, but it won't work for people.
like
out in the-
special, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we got our
Just-
emergency call out that we do too. I don't know how that would affect it either, I mean.
I don't know too much about it, but it just seems a little behind time, or maybe I shouldn't say obsolete.
I think it's a good system, I just don't think, when you put government stuff and then, like, our state statutes on how sheriff's office works and things like that, I think that it's not, they're just not capable to make it work. It doesn't have other options.
One of the biggest issues is if you need technical assistance, the only people they will talk to is Angie and Terry, which if they're not gonna talk to other department heads, then it's a waste of time. Because the sheriff's department will need technical assistance.
Right.
The Road and Bridge will need technical assistance, and who knows what other departments. One of the issues with the sheriff's department is the geo fence. They were able to do a circle. Well, guess what Coffee County is? A square, and they couldn't make it into a square. If you can't make it into a square to cover the entire county, then that's not gonna work for the sheriff's department. And I don't know what other departments out there, but if you're out somewhere and you have a geo fence with Road and Bridge, and you have an issue with that. So my understanding is, and Kenny can probably talk about it more, they've looked into this for Road and Bridge over the last several years, and there are other counties that have something that works, and maybe Coffee County should look into what other counties have done and not reinvent the wheel, so to speak, because if there's a way to make it work for everybody, that's probably the best way to go, instead of paying for three separate programs.
No, I agree with that 100%.
We're not committed at this point, this is a.
No, I verified with them when we, once we got the technology issue solved, I said, this should be our start date, because it was out of our control that we weren't able to use the system, and I didn't want to put it out to everybody at that point, not even
Right.
knowing if we would get the technology issue resolved.
Right.
So once we got that, then I wanted to put it out to departments to test it and see, now, let's see if this is gonna work, we all gotta work on this together, and that's what we did this past week and a half, and quickly figured out it's not. So we, in our discussion, it was brought up about, you know, is there gonna be a committee, because the old committee, there's none of the employees here anymore. So we said, well, this looks like a good committee, because we've got H5 people, we've got, special circumstances with noxious weed with comp time, and then we've got the Road and Bridge and Sheriff's Office, so we thought, And then we thought of adding you, Steve, if you wanted to be a part of it as a commissioner.
And that's fine, I mean, I'll certainly be there when I can be.
So,
IT,
huh?
IT.
I didn't hear.
IT.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
and IT we added, and
Right.
then, Amber wanted to be added too, because they had some special circumstances.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, what if we go back, try to work as quickly as we can to, come and present a different option, and then see what you guys think, and then,
Sure.
I think we could probably do things quickly. We're gonna meet today at 2:00 and try to, if you're able to, Steve.
Right, right.
And then I guess if you can, if somebody else wants to sit in and.
No, I'm planning on, I mean, today I could be there.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
And isn't Angie this exact time still in beta testing for sick and vacation?
Yes, it
So
is.
we couldn't,
Yeah.
you can't decipher the difference for them.
Yeah, that is still, she said it would be ready in March, but,
It just seems to me like it's really a tough regiment to, I mean, there's no bend to it at all. I mean, it's just not very flexible.
Most of your canned products are that way.
And that's what I mean, is, and if you've got an office full of people, I think it works fine. From an 8 to 5 job, I think it works just fine, but for flexibility, it just doesn't, from what little I know, it just doesn't feel very flexible to work for these folks out here.
There's a lot of custom custom pay, custom hours,
yeah.
custom schedules throughout the county. There's so many different mix.
You know, that's
That
just
you
like
don't
on
know.
Road and Bridge. I mean, if they're on a road project, obviously they're not going to shut their machines down to take a noon break or anything like that, and it just seems awful rigid the way it's set up.
If we're gonna make a change, it needs to be a fit, or, I mean, we've
Yeah.
got a system that works, it's probably not ideal now, but I think we need something that work for everyone, or it's not worth doing, just be my opinion.
And that's my opinion. It just,
So if you are all okay with that, of self-creating a committee of the different types of offices, then we could proceed forward with trying to find something. We have not paid anything to the company. I even have an email from her that stated she would not talk to anyone other than me or Terry, because they work on a train-the-trainer basis, so she's training us to be the trainer, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I also have the email where she said that they could not, work things around, like the sheriff's office time, the system's not capable to, so,
Okay.
if you guys are okay with that, we'll move forward and keep going and try to get something going here soon. So,
Research a better option. Yeah.
How many counties is using their program?
well, I don't think there's any in Kansas, it's in other states, so that's probably another indication that it may not work.
State that's using their program, maybe we need to evaluate
Yeah.
the other side of it, and maybe we do anyway.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of confidence in this program is gonna work. Now, all of a sudden, we've lost that confidence because it isn't working, or will not work.
And they did a good presentation when we had them here, but,
But we knew they weren't all 100%, but some of, what they didn't have there in November, December, they could make it available in January, February. But evidently they can't do it, so.
I think just the different departments, different ways of paying and comp time is causing the issue, unless you just go through and uproot everything that is here and go with the cookie cutter type way of paying employees that would be a big
Yeah, we just can't
task.
hardly do that.
It would be
Situations,
very,
they all
very
have
tough.
different situations.
I don't think legally you can change things for the sheriff's department in particular.
I mean, maybe do away with comp time and make it overtime.
I think that ends up being a little tricky as well, and
And that also will affect budgets.
Yes, right, I understand that 100%, but there's a lot of counties that probably don't do comp time, I don't know. But, I know that's a budgetary issue, so instead of,
so not to jump the gun, Angie and I have met with Christina from HR Partners and talked about some of the issues we talked about last week. For example, probation period versus introductory period. And, we talked about the time clock, we talked about comp time versus overtime. She's gonna have some recommendations. Some of the recommendations will be regarding comp time and overtime. What works for one department may not work for another, so her recommendation and what will be presented at some point is that it should be up to each department to determine whether it should be comp time or overtime, because I don't know what everybody does, but that was some of the spirited discussion that we had, and she's got, she sent something out over the weekend that sort of differentiates between the two of what that looks like, but that's going off into the weeds right now. She'll just be back.
I don't know, the clocking in and out each day is not as big a deal to me as we were trying to get, and I thought this all started from when we were trying to get to real-time pay, as in, we're not turning in time last week, anticipating that you're gonna work all the next week so that you get paid by the end of the month. I don't know where I'm worked into this time clock thing. All I wanna see is real-time pay, where you get paid at the end of the month, or, I don't, whether it cuts off on the 15th or the 15th, or the 20th to 20th, I don't really care. I just would like, that's the only thing
You
I
don't
would
have to
say.
estimate if you're gonna be here.
Correct. I mean, and if somebody winds up sick or something, then you gotta scramble next month, or
Recalculate.
I gotta take 3 days off because Uncle Bob passed away or something, you know, it's just, I can see where that's gotta be somewhat of a nightmare for somebody trying to keep time. I mean, but,
And that is what started the whole thing, was to get on the real-time pay, but it got into.
but I don't know why and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, my mind's going on this, but I don't know why we can't go ahead and get that part of it done instead of worrying about this time clock thing. Why can't we get it settled to where everybody gets paid on the 1st or the 30th or whatever? I mean, time goes in on the 20th, you get paid, I don't know. I thought that's what we were trying to work toward.
Yes, it is, and that is what.
Now we're putting a lot of effort into the time clock. It's not seemed to work because they've been using one for 20 years.
Yeah.
Your time clock is just it's a card.
Yep.
You stick a card in, it clicks.
It's 30 years old.
It's old, it's on its last leg, so
Like, we only have
But that's what you guys have been
Yes.
using, yeah.
and it's worked great.
But it's hard to run 40 employees through that, or 30 employees through that.
Correct, it
at
ain't gonna work for Road
7:58.
and Bridge. It won't work
You
for
know,
Road and
so-
Bridge. I think I had a talk with, I'm looking at Kenny here, with Buyer, that, about the time clock thing. And that's what their problem was, trying to clock 40 people in, and by 8 o'clock or whatever, it just wasn't working, so it'd be 8:05, and
But by the same token, this system here was, they were gonna have the same problems with it, trying to get everybody clocked in. It appears like
Mhm.
they were going to run into the same problem. And that was another thing, what was the, distance, a quarter of a mile?
Mhm, yeah.
And I'm not sure how that would have worked anyway with the guys out on the graders. I mean, how does that all work?
You could geo-fence where they parked a road grader, where they was parking the road
So
grader
the
or
quarter of a
whatever.
mile just wasn't a set in I mean, that could be,
Wherever you
Where
wanna
they-
put the
right.
circle around where they're,
Okay.
cause they're all locations
right.
that they're designated to park the
Okay.
machine. And so you could mark it within a quarter mile of that
So they could
machine,
clock, okay.
and they could clock in via their phone.
You can set the geo fence for each individual employee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What about training? When you go to training or?
You would type in where you're at. You know where it says you're outside your geofence?
Mhm.
You just type in at a conference in Wichita, in that little line.
But to go back to what Tom was saying about the real-time pay, so the dilemma at the time was, how do we get on real-time pay without cutting people's paychecks short in a
Right.
month? Because right now,
and I can't see where the time clock's gonna change a bit of that. Yeah.
well, yeah, I know, we'd have to figure that out, so like
So why don't we
either,
figure that part out first, and then we'll figure about the time clock.
however you guys wanna handle it is perfectly fine.
I
But
think-
so many employees live paycheck to paycheck, I mean.
Sure.
And if I remember right, we had a thought or a suggestion of how to compensate for that. But It just seemed to die, and all our energy went to the time clock.
Yeah.
When we don't have the real-time pay figured out yet.
So what was the solution for that? Tom?
Well, we were
You
gonna-
advance some people, something,
Yeah,
or what? were
it
you
was an
gonna do?
advance, because we were gonna cut it off at 2 weeks, and so we were gonna pay them 2 weeks until everything got evened up.
It would work out on the back end when they left, that,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah, there's.
catch up, I guess.
It didn't matter what you presented, somebody had a problem with it.
So you would get
what
that
you're gonna have
back,
to do is
like-
present something, and everybody's gonna have to live with it.
Yeah, when you'd get that money back then when on the employee's last paycheck.
Right.
When they were done, well, that's feasible, yeah. We did something similar in my company when we changed how we were paying people. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's not gonna work for everybody, but it's just, I mean, you're just gonna have to try to find the
You can make
happy
it work.
medium.
You can
Yeah,
make
you can
it
make it
work.
work, yeah.
I mean, I used to pay on Fridays, but nobody would come in on Saturdays, so I switched to Wednesdays, so they at least had 2 more days to pay their bill, and they come in on Thursdays, so.
Process of elimination.
Exactly, it worked out.
Mhm.
It will work out, I promise.
So at this point, then, the direction would you like us to do is to go back to the drawing board on the real-time pay, and then move forward with time clock? Is that how you'd like us
I think
to?
it's-
I'm just throwing my thoughts
Don't
out
you
there.
guys?
I think we need some more discussion on, I just think we need some more study on this. It just doesn't feel right, the way it's set up right now.
Could I ask a question? Would you guys mind if I went ahead and got a new time clock in the meantime?
I don't know.
Please.
Because, you know, sometimes it takes 30 times of pushing your card in to get it to finally go.
You're in a
And-
bad mood before you even start work.
And we're almost out of cards, so,
Why couldn't, I mean, these little black key things, like I got to enter the courthouse. Why couldn't, you can look at those via the computer and see when that card was clocked in, when it clocked out, or make a clock in, clock out type area for it, and I don't know how expensive that would be. But I know time clocks are relatively fairly expensive.
I think we can get one for $500,
Really?
so.
The same kind.
Well,
Basically,
yeah,
I mean,
similar to
just-
what
just
we've been
upgraded.
using. Of course, the one we got was like $350 25 years ago, so maybe they're a little more expensive than that, but this one is on its last leg, so we really need to do something.
I think that'd be fine.
I don't have a problem with that myself, but that's,
Okay, thank you, I'll
I mean,
look into it.
But then what if they decide to go to the swiping of the
Then-
card and
Then
time
you've
clocking
wasted
each other?
$500.
Then we don't have that, that won't
Right.
work.
That's-
Yeah, but we're about to not work
I
now.
know, we're not working now. But,
Well, we want you to keep coming.
Can you do
forward,
like
so.
if it fails on, you can do like a sign-in sheet each morning or something till
They can
this
hammer
is
to it.
remedied?
Just good.
Suggestion,
Yeah.
not a request, but just.
We could talk to Brad about that too, to see if he's got a way to keep track of time that way or something.
Okay.
With the card.
There might be something, I think there's
Yeah.
probably something simple, that you can just beep, beep,
Yeah,
in and out.
we'll talk to Brad.
I think that'd probably,
You know, and Christina brought to us the issue of not being on real time. It's been over a year now, because it was in probably November, December of 2021. You know, I figured we'd be much easier to get that accomplished when we'd already be there, and not being critical of anybody. I mean, don't misunderstand that. But the importance of getting to real time, we've got to find a way to get there and do it, you know, to me, do it fairly quickly.
Yeah, that paying ahead of time just sounds like a real challenge for everybody involved.
it's a nightmare for payroll.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to go back, having to go back and recalculate everything basically if there's any discrepancy.
You got taxes out of it, you gotta pre-figure, back-figure all that stuff.
Gives me a headache thinking about it.
It's the 1980s way of doing business, and we're not in the 80s anymore.
They were a pretty good time.
Other than my interest, well, we're pretty close to that.
Best music.
Best music.
High interest, that's the worst thing I remember about the eighties, but.
so with your, back to the time clock, so you guys just click in every day, and at the end of pay period, then I assume, so you take care of the time cards, is that correct?
I look over the time cards.
And make any,
They'll fill out a time sheet that is turned into the clerk's office.
yeah.
Off of their time card.
So where's the discrepancy in, I mean, you're being paid real time then, I mean, there's,
No, because we're still guessing
Oh, okay,
what
okay.
we're gonna be there the last part of the month.
okay.
What is it, the 25th on, or 20, what do you,
Well, this month it was,
13th on.
the
this month was
13th on?
16th on.
16th
We had
on.
to-
Like theirs, but in order for me to print them, like I printed them on the 13th and then got them to all the deputies because we're talking night guys, day shifts, night guys. By the time they get them and we get them signed by
You're half the
everyone else.
month, the other half the month out.
Exactly.
You don't have a clue what's gonna happen the next 15 days.
Well, we had to
18
turn ours
days.
in by the 16th, and we've already had, there's people already, we've missed days since then.
Got one gone today, so.
So now, next month, they're gonna have to take that off because they were already paid for it.
That's the headache.
I
That's
see.
why I see, why don't we remedy that before we remedy the time
Yeah.
clock?
I think
We
you
do.
hit it on the head, Tom.
We
Yeah.
do.
And then with you guys paying, like, at the end of the month, if we're just gonna still pay once a month, then if we cut it off, and then, like you said, if you're doing the advancement or whatever, the one time, then we still could pay at the last day of the month, and then it would just be on schedule after that, so. But we can talk about that in our committee meeting today and go over that.
I'd say get that pink elephant taken care of
That'd be
first.
great,
and-
exactly.
Yeah, and just, quite honestly, like last week when I was sitting on the meeting, I mean, just the input from these folks were, it shed a different light on everything, that maybe this thing wasn't working quite like it should. That's where it was coming from.
It's not working the way it's going, and it's not working the way it was gonna go.
Yeah.
So,
Will Brad be there today, Angie,
Yeah.
too?
and there might be something as simple as something Brad would have an idea. Because these little key things, you can walk by it and just, I mean, in and out, I mean,
Yeah, he
you're
told me he could.
seconds.
He could tell what time somebody walked through that door in the basement.
And all you gotta do is have an in
Yeah,
and
it
out.
has your name.
And who it was.
All you gotta do is have an in and out
Yeah.
scanner, and boom, it's there.
And then he could maybe provide us with an Excel spreadsheet that we could figure out how to upload, or if we wanted to make it quicker,
Mhm.
to try to, so.
Might be something out there. I just think get the real-time pay out of the way first.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah, just not great, Tom.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Good luck in the discussions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Thompson's not here. He won't be here today?
I know he was feeling under the weather, so we can probably still cover that topic because you have what he sent.
What did he send?
He sent an email.
Bid for that,
I don't think I got it.
It was a while back, though, was it not?
Nope.
Oh, I forwarded it out to the commissioners.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Let
security.
me print it out here.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know that.
yeah, I did glance at it.
I didn't know the table or whatever.
Right, the security
name
table.
of it.
He just
Yeah.
said forward it out, so I didn't think about
I
printing
printed
it
that
off.
off, and I forgot to bring it.
I'll print it here.
I can put it up here if you want.
Save paper.
Now,
I just hit print.
Oh, you just hit print?
it'll be fine.
That's all right.
We'll have it all.
Yeah.
Mr. Van Ucker, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good.
Mr. Van Arper's always good.
99%.
Well, I knew it couldn't be 100.
No,
Pretty
no.
positive guy.
Hopefully it was plugged in, right?
That might help a little bit.
Did I see you down at the meeting yesterday at EMP?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought I seen you there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, somebody's jamming.
Didn't that say 70?
70, yeah.
Yeah.
That'll get your attention.
Everybody on YouTube.
You got the common copy there. Then I ran out of paper, so I gotta go get some more. I think I have enough for you
You don't
guys.
need one for me. I can look at it up there.
Thank you.
I do have one for you. Okay, okay.
So this is, behind the scenes, the sheriff has been working with Steve Brasco on a revamp of the, security station downstairs, and really, all it's gonna be for is to go into the courtroom and to protect or harden, probation too, because they have people go in and out, and I think they need to feel safe as well. So, this update, as you can see, is from January 25th. So, everything that's listed here will be shown in the actual image. And as you can see, Brandy is downstairs, Chris Lawson's downstairs, and right now they just have somebody's hand-me-down desk where they sit, which is fine for right now, but when you get a lot more people coming in, and you need people going into the courtroom, in a couple of months, we have a week-long jury trial, so that means we're gonna have, I don't know, 120, 200 potential jurors that are gonna be in this building, and we're gonna have to deal with, you know, courtroom security each and every day. We have another week-long jury trial that's gonna be just before the summer, same situation, so there's gonna be a number of jury trials this year, and having the security to go in and out of the courtroom is essential.
Can you go up to that third page that shows that diagram for me?
Yep. So there's the sticker shock right there, 157, 386.
Well, it's a lot cheaper than 500,000.
Well, that's true. So this is the rendering that Brasco put together.
So I was trying to understand which way this is facing, or whatever.
So this is the door down here to the east, so it's coming in the east door, walking in.
Where's that?
Up there where it says top view, that's the east door.
That's
East door.
Okay, that's what I was trying to
Elevator's
figure out,
right
which way
here.
to set, you know.
This is the hallway walking into down towards the district court.
Okay.
And then where Brandy is sitting right now is where that.
That's what I kinda thought it was, but I just wanted to.
I never did get it figured out exactly which way that was facing.
That's right.
I can't see it. Wade, can you enlarge that just a little bit, 'cause we can't read this.
At the top right there is the hallway to the court.
Mhm.
Yes.
Which can't you read?
Can you enlarge it, the little labels?
I think the way it was scanned,
Oh, you
It's-
can't read it anyway.
yeah, I think it's fuzzy. What do you want to
That
know?
little orange block that's right off of the hallway that goes to the courtroom, what's that say above there?
Uh,
I'd say it's a swing door.
yeah, flexible countertop
Oh, a raised top, so you can raise it up and walk through?
That may not be exactly what it says, but it,
That's what we were curious about.
You gotta have ways for them, for the people sitting in that petition area to get in and out of there.
yeah.
So I'm assuming there's gonna be glass around that.
No,
The
No,
printed,
there's not. Okay.
the printed version, the words are pretty blurry, we can't read it.
Yeah.
You can't do any better on there.
no, I think that's how it was scanned.
Okay, fine.
So, I can, and go to my office and, print off the original that Steve Presco sent, and I'll just print one off. That way it can be handed around and I can say what everything is.
The red thing's some magometer, isn't it? The red-
Yeah, that's the metal detector.
Yeah.
I get the gist of it, and like Jesse said, we were talking about going to each office here in the building and
Yep.
bulletproofing those to the tune of well over $500,000.
Yep.
And that was just certain offices, it wasn't every office in this building, so this here would be a nice deterrent
Yep.
and cover all offices.
So the swing gates, Wade, going into the hallway, are they?
Right here?
Yes, they're controlled from the,
Yeah, these are doors.
oh, okay,
Being in and out.
Yep.
right, and in and out, so
They're controlled by the main station there.
that's what my question, yeah, they're controlled from the main station there, is that right?
I don't think they're controlled, I think they're monitored, and to go in, you have to go through the metal detector.
Okay.
To go in to see a probation officer, you have to go in through a metal detector.
So cutting out, they just automatically,
You don't have to be.
You go out.
okay.
So, going in and out, right now, if you've been here on court days, it sort of sometimes gets bottlenecked down there. You go through the metal detector and you can hang out in the hall. And they do a good job with it, but having things in probably a little better situation, and as you see, there's cameras, and they'll have part of what the quote is for is a monitoring system that they'll have at the security table where they can monitor what's going on real time. They can see down that hallway, they can see right there at the magnetometer, they can see coming in at the west doors.
Is the west door still gonna be, is it gonna be open? I thought that was gonna be key only.
I thought it was gonna be key only too, because you don't want somebody walking up on you.
Behind them.
From behind.
I'd much rather see that be closed to general public and just make it key access, because you gotta be cleared to have a key anyway, unless somebody finds a key.
Well,
on the road.
I mean, once the new jail is put in, then that parking is pretty much
Yeah, be
Right.
very little out there.
wiped out for the most part, so. And I'm sure Tom had a few more comments to make about it, but at least this gets the discussion started.
That, in my eyes, that's, you know, and I don't like saying, well, this office doesn't need hardened glass, you know, that's saying that, and I feel that you're not saying it, but I feel the people behind in that office going, well, they don't care about me. This is a better presence right up front in the lobby to deter anything. You're not gonna deter everything. Could possibly deter somebody coming in
So,
and,
and somebody, one of the deputies, like Tom said before, they're sworn deputies who carry just like anybody else, so they
Yeah.
walk through the building, they have arrest powers, they have the ability to intervene, and their presence is, something that everybody in this building should feel, because they walk through at different times, and you'll see them just walking through just to
Yeah.
check things out.
it's not some security company that doesn't have a gun, they got a taser, you know, I mean,
Yep.
This is being similar to what Lyon County has, being real, almost the same.
You hope it never comes down to it where something has to happen, but if it does, I mean, you know, and this room right here, this chamber, if somebody wanted to, they could walk in and guess what? They know you're here every Monday, they walk right in and
can't go anywhere.
By the time somebody responds, how much time do you think that would take? And seconds matter.
So this would be manned full-time, is that right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good.
During working hours.
Right,
or
during
after.
working hours, right.
I would assume if court carries over, it would still be manned if court carries
Oh,
over
yeah.
at 5 o'clock.
I mean, we've gone to 6 o'clock recently, and there's a deputy in the courtroom at all times, and one in the hall.
So, in your opinion, I know Mr. Sheriff Johnson isn't here, but in your opinion, would this be satisfactory? Is this, well, we're having spoke to Johnson and said this, he's approved this and it's satisfactory to him.
Yes. My understanding is both he and Eric have reviewed this. It's gone back and forth multiple times for revisions, and this is
The final draft.
the final draft that he was prepared to present to you this morning. But I think there may be a couple other tweaks. I know Steve Prasco wanted to come here and actually put, if this was the option of the board to get better measurements, is put tape on the floor and see what it would look like, and then there might be a few minor tweaks based on what that tape looks like. But generally speaking, this is what I believe, or I feel the sheriff's wanting to move forward with.
I don't have any problem with it. Just like I say, it's trimmed down from $500,000 to $157,000.
Well, and the way things are going right now with prices of things changing, I mean, the prices I get are only good for 2 weeks, so.
Well,
I think if we try to mill this over and stall it out, we're gonna end up paying more in the end, so.
I know on the last bid, he said it was only good for so many days, weeks.
Yeah, I did.
Something, I don't see it on this one, but,
Wade, I still have a little bit of problem with comprehending. There's 2 entrance east doors.
Am I correct? There, you come in the east doors,
That's those 2 open doors up there at the top, correct?
yep, where it says top view.
there's not gonna be any, other than the officer just greeting these people and basically taking their temperature, you might say, people are still gonna be free to walk in
Yes.
to the main, to the courthouse, correct?
Yes, there
They're not
is-
gonna go through the
The only
metal
time,
detector and
the only time they're gonna go through the metal
Metal.
detector is when they go into the courtroom, is that correct?
Courtroom, probation,
Or,
and my assumption would be the deputies will have the discretion if they see something that they feel is suspicious, then they can make a request, but that probably wouldn't only be for going through the metal detector.
What keeps the person coming in the east doors and immediately turning to the left and walking right down the hallway? Those doors, will they be automatically locked, and then officers gotta push a
No.
button to disconnect, to unlock?
I think they're just, they're swiveled, they open and shut, but there's two people there who will say, stop.
that's going to be the deterrent right there, is the 2 people,
Correct.
okay.
So there's no way that people can come in the front door and immediately go through the court?
Well, they can, probably, but that would result in, probably some interaction
Okay.
with a law enforcement officer.
So they gotta bring that person, if they try to go through the door, bring them back around and go through the metal detector, which is red.
Right.
I would say there's probably gonna be some posts that's got some type of, direction
So,
for inbound to the courtroom, would be my guess.
so on court days, Wednesday and Thursday, well, the court days that I have, there's usually somebody sitting there with
Yeah.
sort of a flag
So
posting.
there'll still be a person
this
sitting in the
direction,
hallway,
This direction.
still be a person sitting in the hallway plus 1 or 2 in the,
That's my understanding, so when we have court, there's actually 3.
be 3 there.
You still have that person there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Plus the 2 in the, plus the other 2.
Yeah. on the podium.
On the podium, right.
Well, there may be 3, I don't know.
Sure.
Tom can probably tell you better than I can what the plan would be there.
What's the time frame on accepting the bid?
What I would suggest, if you're okay to at least tentatively to move forward, then I'll let Tom know. We'll get Prasco out here hopefully this week. He can run the tape, and then next week, when Tom's here, bring it back before you. And if you want to finalize it, then I think Prasco would probably be okay with making a decision next week. It would be my.
If we could wait till he was here,
Yeah.
I'd feel more comfortable about it, if that's
Yep.
possible.
So there's 3 cameras up there, is that right? One going down the hallway, one on the left side, and then one in the corner?
And if you didn't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, for the 2 new commissioners, there's cameras all over this building, everywhere, from almost every single angle.
Okay.
And in the middle of the lobby downstairs, if you look up, there's a globe, and that globe covers, I mean, it has everything down there, and I think it's the only camera that was installed that they can actually move around and rotate.
So that goes to the sheriff's department, or where's the screens?
They're down in dispatch, and if there's an issue, so we've had requests for something that's happened in this building before, and maybe to get that footage, there's a process.
Mhm.
But, you know, if there's an incident at the treasurer's office, let's say, then Brad can go back if a request is made and actually have someone from the outside walking into the building, go into that, and walk out of the building. Now there's no audio, but at least you have the video, and it's another deterrent, a protection mechanism.
Jeff, can I ask you a question? Why would we, you have somebody come in the east door and they go to the right, which is up here. Why would we not have all people come into this building that aren't working here come through the metal detector?
That's a decision the commissioners made because they
Oh, okay, that's fine.
They didn't want to infringe on people who weren't going into the courtroom. The courtroom is one that has to be secured, and I don't want to speak for
That's fine,
you.
okay.
Well, I mean, this is the county's, this is the people's building, you know, and I feel if you've got a concealed carry license and you want to walk into the court, you know, into this building and go up to the treasurer's office and pay your taxes or whatever,
That's fine.
instead of having a type of a show type deal, oh, I gotta take this off and put it through the magometer and type so on and so forth.
Well, I know in Lyon County, I
That's what
go
they
in
do.
that courthouse quite often for
Mhm.
things, and you have to go, all patrons have to go through, and that,
Mhm.
to me, is, that's okay.
Yeah, I empty my pockets before I even go in the
Yeah,
building.
I try to stay out of it.
That's fine, that's fine, okay.
But, I don't know, it's,
And it's that same way in Osage County too.
Yeah, I know.
Is that right?
Yes.
So back on the conceal and carry, so if you've got a light for conceal, so how does that work? I mean, how,
Unless the board makes a decision to say you can't carry concealed in this building, there's no prohibition against it, and that decision hasn't been.
and that's fine, I was just curious how.
Thanks, Jess.
Mhm. I mean, I still say you can still have an issue, but if there's a presence of law enforcement carrying a gun that will take action on spot, not some security company that just has a rent-a-cop sitting there that can't hardly do anything but pick up the phone and call somebody.
These folks will have teeth,
Yes,
and I guess that's good, because that should be the deterrent.
yes.
It should be the deterrent.
You get somebody that's still got the drive to walk through there carrying whatever they might want to carry or trying to hide
Right.
whatever they can hide, hopefully the trained officers can see that.
Yeah.
And pay attention to that.
Yeah, and I guess maybe, you know, I questioned why, that was one of the questions I asked before I was on, was why aren't we making everyone
Go
go
through
through
that.
the metal detector? But,
Mhm.
but you know, if you've got someone really intent on doing harm, that metal detector's not gonna stop them. If they're gonna try to get past these two officers,
That's the first two shots.
yeah, right.
Well, no,
So,
you're right, Judith, that's.
you know, so I
that's
mean,
two
they
shots.
can charge on past that, I guess,
Mhm.
would be my thought.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword.
If we discover on down the road that we need to modify this and make it to where it would be, everybody would have to go through.
But we could put another one over
We
here.
could put one
in this
there
area
probably
and
fairly
block that off
easy.
If we needed to.
But what it would take to trigger that modification, I don't know. Because by the time you discover, that's gonna be too late probably, but. Going into Lyon County, does everybody go through the metal detector?
Yeah, you leave
I was there
everything
once,
there.
but it's been 3 or 4 years ago or longer, and I forget now where everybody had to go through or not.
They want your pocket knife, they want
Yeah.
everything, which, you know, that's how they're set up.
I'm sure there are no guns. I'm sure that, I think
Most,
they,
No,
most
there's
courthouses have security. When I was in Detroit, you couldn't even take a pen unless you were law enforcement or an attorney. They had 6 wide. It's more secure than the airport.
Yeah.
But it's Detroit, so.
You know, they put everything in a tub and it goes around. If you've got anything, I just empty mine before I go in there, but they put it in a tub and it goes around and you walk through and you don't carry anything.
I mean,
bad in there.
the issue is, you don't, the hope is you never have to deal with anything here, but if you don't take preventative measures, you're reactive instead of proactive, and I think that's the bad side of things to be on. Now, I think the magnetometer should be able to be easily moved. The magnetometer that's down there now, when we had a jury trial out at Kelly Hall, it got moved out there, and anybody who was a potential juror or a part of that proceeding had to go through the metal detector, so they can be mobile, they can move around. I'm not sure about this particular model, but that is something that is a benefit.
this one here, the red one, is that gonna be a new one?
Yes. I think there's a list for a new one.
It's in that.
Is it in the itemized? What's wrong with the old one that's sitting down there? Could it be moved and make, stripes on that everybody that comes in to the courthouse walks through that one?
Potentially, now you're getting outside of my comfort
I mean, you
zone.
could just have tape on the floor,
Sure.
go through it before you enter the rest of it.
Okay.
Somebody that walks around it, you know,
No, there's no one.
that's what somebody walks around that one, then you know it's time to stop.
There was one at one point, but I'm not sure if it's added to.
That's why I'm wondering if they're reusing the one that's already here.
There must be reused, because there's
I
not.
don't see it on the list, do you?
On the list.
So that may be the
Well,
same one. But I know it's got the ability to be moved around.
Move around.
Not one on the list.
You can have an in and out door at the east door. Everybody that walks through the door, walks through that.
And that's a decision you need to make, probably before this gets.
That's not a bad.
If Sheriff Johnson's approved it, and you've approved it, I don't wanna reinvent a wheel.
Yeah, I don't really want to either, but
I mean,
Well, what
if
it would,
they see a need to revamp this later, I'm sure it's not gonna be that difficult, but.
right, I agree.
so the difference would be if you have if you have the magnetometer at the door as you enter, then you're gonna have to have a table there with all these baskets, and somebody's gonna have to stand there. So that it doesn't take that much additional time, but that means the two that are sitting where they are, at least in what we have, would be potentially positioned differently.
Right.
And that can be addressed, it just needs to be, I'm not the law enforcement side of it, and I wanna make sure that Tom would have a,
Well, that was my question, if they was
Yeah.
putting a new magnetometer there on the east side of the little area, if the one that is originally in the hallway could be swung around over here in the walkway, you could just put tape on the floor, you walk through there, you know, so on and so forth.
Whether it says board or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
so,
You know, we're trying to make this as safe as we possibly can and yet control costs. To me, cost is probably immaterial to a point. People come in this east door, they go to the elevator and go up. These officers aren't gonna have any control at all on people getting to this floor here. I'm not too sure we had enough to take a look at forcing everybody to go through.
so the good news is, I'm sure because he's not here, the sheriff will watch this discussion, and, if you have anything that you think he needs to revisit, I think you'd mention what your thoughts are, and then that way he can reassess and reevaluate. I don't think, based on what this shows right now, it's a huge, change. It may be a slight modification, but that way it can be brought up to, Steve Prasco. He can revise this and then be ready to move forward next week.
To me, we gotta keep somebody from getting to that elevator, getting up
When
with
the
no officers
the
in.
stairs are there too.
If you wanna look at it that way, when you look at that diagram, go up to the diagram for me. I'll call it the east edge, the security area where the police are sitting below the red thing, metal detector. He's saying that hallway leading to the courtroom itself is 8 foot wide when you look at this list. He's calling out the 8 foot by 8 foot security, district court door level 1 security 8 by 8. So he's got 8 foot wide, 8 foot tall space. So that means that metal detector is extending out past that first door, which if you look to the left where the elevator is, everything is before you get to the elevator. So those people are within 8 feet of that east entry door. Maybe the best thing to do is Steve come tape that off before Monday, or somebody could tape this off to give everybody a visual of what it looks like sitting down there, which might help that situation a little bit, because I think we're beating it up pretty bad, for lack of better terminology at the moment, but that's pretty close, everything's pretty close to that east entry door, within 8 feet approximately, give or take. And 8 feet from here to that door.
But it would take very long for somebody to tape it off before we get an exact layout.
If that'll help, a suggestion only again.
We can see if we can get it done.
I don't think, I'm a visual, I gotta look at it, and I still can't tell.
Me too.
But
I have to do the same thing right now.
It works for me much better.
I don't have a problem with it's presented, you know, but if it can be.
And like I say, if Johnson signed off on it and
Mhm.
Wade's okay with it, just to bring in a little more perspective for everybody else, I guess. I say that, I'm repeating myself again now, but everything's within 8 feet of that east entry door.
Right.
Give or take.
I will, pass on the comments to the sheriff and, recommend he watch this part of the meeting,
So in reality, it wouldn't be hard if you really wanted everybody to come to the courthouse and walk to that metal detector. It would be, just swing that around a little bit.
If we changed our mind later.
Yeah, but I agree with Jesse's comment that we originally, when we started talking about this, we didn't want to subject everybody to it that came and walked through the hallways of this courthouse. It was more who was going to court, was where our focus was, so. And having a presence there was gonna be a deterrent. But it may help if we got that taped off prior to. If Mr. Prasco has time. I know it's a short day, short notice.
Anybody need a break? Quick break? You got enough time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You've got all day.
You got all day?
You can take about 8 hours. Preferably not all day, but yeah, I do have some time.
Let's take a 10-minute break. 10-minute break. We'll come back at 10:15.
Yeah, I got a lot going on today.
If I get in trouble for 1 minute, so be it. Ron Durban.
Good morning.
Morning.
Several motions today. So the first one is that time of year for the spring cleanup week, to designate, and we decided on April 10th through 15th, so that'd be the first motion.
Motion 2023-16, landfill spring cleanup week, designated April 10th through the 15th, 2023, as spring cleanup week.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Tom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Next, we have our dust control for 2023, our dust control program. We've been doing this for several years, for individuals can pay for dust controls, or businesses can pay for that. And one thing I'd like to consider looking at, it's a little different, is I've got a mile road out west of town here that is a very highly traveled road, and maintenance cost is quite a bit. I mean, more than average road, and I think there'd be a benefit to dust controlling that whole mile, and I would like to just do it this year and have some numbers to compare what our maintenance costs are down the road. I mean, I can tell you that the last 5 years we've spent almost $40,000 just on rock and equipment time on this mile. I mean, typically we're spreading rock every mile to some degree and rocking the entire road every two years. It's due that we need to rock it again this year. So dust control for a mile of road's about $8,000 to do a complete mile.
How will the potholes be handled?
Like
It's a heavily traveled road.
It is, but you know, there's a couple houses through a 2-mile stretch out there, and they're about like everywhere else. I mean, that dust control, I mean, it holds the rock together. You don't lose it, you know. So, you know, it'll keep the integrity of the road surface together. We'll treat it just like we treat any other dust control in front of a residence. I mean, when they get to the point they are getting rough, I mean, we'll go in and address them. But yeah, I mean, I really think it's going to perform well for us. And I know traffic counts, there's over 100 cars a day on this mile of road, and that's more than some of our asphalt roads in the county. You know, we can about blade it once a week. They still can't stay on top of it. So I think it'll be a benefit to doing it, but it'd give us some data here in a year or so to look back and see what our maintenance cost was, and you know, because there's a handful of other miles in the county that this could be a good option for, but I'd like to start with one and just see how it performs for us.
Is that 11th Road you're talking about?
Yeah, 11th Road.
11th, which be
going right west of town from Juneberry to Caffrey, that first mile.
I knew 12th Road was already chipped, so.
Yeah, no, it'd be 11th Road. But yeah, so if you guys go along with that, I think we'd like to try that and just add it in when we dust control.
Just want to add in the quantities that would go with that.
Yeah, I'm just wanting the okay for us to go ahead and add that quantity to whatever we end up after. You know, we'll advertise for dust control, start contacting landowners, start getting that list going. And then I'd just like to add that mile on top of what we end up with.
I drove that with Ryan here last week, I believe it was. That's a road that I use a lot to go to my property, and, I can see the benefit myself, where it may cut down on spending more time there than necessary, so.
Yeah, Ryan and I had talked about this. We were discussing the road leading to my business. It just gets ground away from all of our traffic in and out of there, where the level of the road is, I'd say, 6 inches lower than it was 10 years ago. And I mean, you know, they keep enough rock on it and everything, where we're not dealing with mud or anything, but it just.
You know, you think
if we
about all
could
the
keep
dust,
that
all
material,
the
yeah.
road dust you see in the air, I mean, that's your gravel,
Yeah.
you're losing your gravel, over
But
time, and.
Sure be interested to see how it performed.
I say you get consensus to move forward.
Okay, well, with that, the next motion is just to approve the, 2023 dust control program.
Motion 2022-17, based on the recommendation of interim road and bridge supervisor, move to approve the interim road and bridge supervisor request to approve the dust control program for 2023 as presented by the county engineer.
So we say by county.
Don't, for God's sakes, don't put interim road and bridge supervisor in there another time. Get tongue-tied.
I'd so move.
Yeah, anyway. Moved by Wade,
I'll second.
seconded by Don. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Next is, going out for bid for our mag chloride for our dust control program. So it's just going out for bid.
Motion number 3, 2022-18, based upon the recommendation of the interim road and bridge supervisor, move to approve request to solicit sealed bids for magnesium chloride for the 2023 dust control program. I will move.
Second.
Moved by Jesse, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Are we gonna leave the cost for that 300 feet, same as we did a year ago? I think we increased that.
We increased
We
it a
increased
little
that
bit.
last year.
We
Do we
increased
need
it
to
just a
move it
little
again?
bit, and I think probably so. I've been in conversations with some of the distributors, and I think prices are maybe gonna come in roughly where they were last year, so they weren't expecting a big increase, but who's to say by the time it comes out, that could be different, but that was kind of their thinking, that there wasn't gonna be a big price increase, so I don't,
But on 300 feet, we're $3.50 now?
$1.50, I believe.
I think it was $1.90 last year.
Oh, $1.90, okay.
I think so.
I'm
I
sorry, I
think
meant
it
to
went
look.
from $1.50 to $1.90.
Okay.
$1.90?
I
Okay.
think. Don't quote me on that, but I think.
I absolutely couldn't remember.
All right.
But once we get our numbers, we.
It is a benefit to the residents if they want it. And I think we was kinda talking earlier, at least pay for the product, material that is
Right.
being put down in front of your residents.
Right.
We're donating the labor and the
Right.
gravel and
Right.
everything else, basically.
Right,
So, that way we're not losing a whole lot, the whole thing.
right. Next is our summer mowing. We contract out four spots in the county that we have mowed. The JSB Park up at Old 50, the Rock Creek Cemetery, Hope Cemetery, and then the Strawn Monument over by Jacobs Creek. So we've done that we've been this out for several years now.
Motion 2022-19, based upon the recommendation of the interim road and bridge supervisor, move to approve request to solicit sealed bids for seasonal mowing at Old 50 Park, Rock Creek Cemetery, Hope Cemetery, and Strawn Monument, 16th and Palmer. I'll move. Steve's moved.
I'll second that.
Wade seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next we have an equipment purchase. This would be for the mid-size excavator, that 308 excavator, and this is going through Sourcewell. And so I know this is excavator that we actually rented this size last summer, and just something new. It's kind of a mid-sized excavator that we've been looking, that could really fit our needs, so we rented it. Started with a month, we wound up renting it for 3 months last year, and just kind of used it and found its limitations and kind of what we had in mind to use it for, and it really, I mean, it's really going to be really nice for us. So we went through Sourcewell.
Is this brand new?
Yes.
It's brand new, no hours.
No hours. Be brand new. Yeah, be brand new. And really, you know, compared to some of the other equipment, this one, I mean, fits our needs the best. The John Deere, they don't really have one the size that we're looking at. It's either too small or too big. And then the Bobcat's, you know, another brand of hoe that we've looked at for many. This is kind of a mini excavator. We've had a lot of problems with their quick attach on their bucket, how their buckets attach over the years, and just this is really our would fit our needs the best, I think.
I seen some online that was used, same year, same model, everything, and it was in the 150s.
Yeah. So now with Sourcewell, you get, you know, there's government discounting in that, and so I think that was 20,000 some, I think, but so they're usually pretty competitive price when you're dealing with Sourcewell.
You leased one last year for 3 months. Is it something that leasing it for 3 months be more efficient, more cost savings than owning it?
No, we
know
we
these
need one
aren't
all
good.
the,
I
we
know
need
they're
one
not
all
good.
the time, but
You'd use one way more if you had.
oh,
it
absolutely,
every month, right?
absolutely.
What it costs to lease it per month?
I can't answer that on those numbers, but I will say this size excavator, you know, it doesn't have to be hauled around by our low boy. It can be on our Pendle hitch trailer and pulled by a dump truck. So that's kind of the idea, you know, is to kind of have that be a match pair going around at some point would be our intentions, and doing a lot of this box and culvert maintenance, that stuff that's too big for our little excavator, but maybe we don't need our giant excavators out there.
Motion number 2023-02, based upon the recommendation of the interim road and bridge supervisor as a form to waive the purchasing policy as
Oh, it should say, and county attorney.
county attorney, okay. And county attorney as a forum to waive purchase policy as to competitive bidding for good cause, said cause being municipal program pricing with Sourcewell, formerly known as National Joint Powers, Government Purchasing Alliance with Coffee County number 118463, to approve the purchase of one 2023 Caterpillar 308-07 CRSB excavator, Chinook, Kansas, quote number 199397-03, in the amount of $146,111.00, and authorize direct the interim road and bridge supervisor to sign all documents related thereto. Funding of the purchase come out of general fund, public works equipment line item.
So moved.
Tom's moved.
I'll second.
Steve seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye, motion passes.
All right, thank you. Let's see, we had one resignation last week. Just somebody took a different job. So with that, I'd like to advertise for another heavy equipment operator, and this would be for a blade crew.
How long has this individual worked?
He started probably 14, 15 years ago, about the same time I did.
Really?
I think so.
Long term?
Yep, he's been here a while, but he put his notice in last week, so he'll be done, I think, the 1st.
Yeah, 1st of November, or 1st of March. Motion 2023-20, based upon the recommendation of the interim road and bridge superintendent, move to request for authorization to advertise and hire one full-time section blade heavy equipment operator for blade crew. No new position being added, just this request will fill a current vacant position within the department due to voluntary resignation.
So moved. And second that.
Tom moved, Wade second, any discussion?
You gonna open up outside the,
Yeah, we'll go ahead and advertise outside. I
Advertise
mean,
out.
more than likely, we'll probably have some in-house interest in this, and, you know, we always kinda have some in-house shuffling when jobs come open, but at the end, we have to go outside, so we usually advertise in-house and out-of-house both, and then that way, get that done, and when the shuffling gets done within our department, then we'll start the interview process, 'cause this will make 3 jobs that we have open right now that we're looking to fill, but, you know, we have in-house shuffling going on, so anticipating roughly the first of next month to be setting up interviews on some of those positions.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I know, Ryan, on these numbers, we got 2023, and then the next 3 are 2022. Should those all be 2023? Because the second number's in sequence.
Well, I think some of those, sorry, so those numbers, I believe, yeah, that's probably right on that one.
I bet those 2, 3, and 4 maybe ought to be 2023.
2, 3, and 4 would be 2023.
It's probably just gonna be copied from last year.
Yeah, that's what it was, we just didn't,
Probably just a
just copy and pasted those from last year.
But as long as they're in our minutes.
Yeah.
That's 2023-17, 18, 19, 20, or 17, 18, well, then there's 02.
02 maybe ought to be 20, and
That'd be
then the last one
20, and
maybe
then
ought to be
6 be 21.
Well, so the O2, so that ties into the, that excavator when we asked to even go out for bid, to look at that, so
Some time
that's,
ago.
That goes
that's why
back,
that
okay.
number doesn't line up.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the original number that goes with that from the beginning.
With that.
And we don't put those in for the motion.
Oh, okay.
Those are really just for our information only, not the
I think
motion.
maybe when you read the motions, you read one that's 2022.
I did, I should have read what was in front of me.
Well,
Sometimes that's what
depending
I
on
do.
which sheet you're looking at, the white sheet says 23 and the green sheet says 22.
I was reading the computer.
Okay.
Alright, well, that's all for motions. I would like, if you guys have time, I'd like to request an executive session for 15 minutes, for the board, myself, and Wade, and discuss personnel matters, dealing with our CDLs.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Jesse, seconded by Tom. Any discussion?
Did you say how much time?
20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you said 15.
15 or 20, either way.
Let's do 20.
Let's do 20, okay.
I haven't seen us do it 15 minutes.
We will enter at, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We'll enter at 10:35. 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Fishing, I guess, so.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
You guys went in at 10:35
Are you gonna be
or
back up
10:30?
talking next? 10:35.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay. I wanted to verify that, 'cause I thought.
Yeah, 10:35 for 20
No,
minutes.
no, no, you said, you take care of it.
Thank you. We lost one.
Should be right here.
MIA.
Y'all pull that door closed, Wade, please. I'm sure it'll be open again here soon, but. All right, no action taken on last executive session. We'll go to 10:45, Health Department Administrator Carl Lee.
I want to refer to Bobby Skipper real
Oh.
quick. He's got some news for you.
Okay,
Thank you,
come on up, Bobby.
You bet.
Yes, sir.
This is the kind of news you want to hear first.
Yeah,
This is good news.
yeah. Thank you, Commissioners, for attending yesterday, the function. The governor came to town and, Coffee County came together. Everybody really just jumped in and did what we could to make the best welcome we could. And aside from what you know about, some of our citizens took the initiative to welcome the governor on their way in. The lieutenant governor told me yesterday, he said on their way in, he said they saw people up at the hospital standing out with flags waving and cheering as they come by, and they said, well, they must be having a parade. And they got down to the intersection of the air show, and they saw people waving Kansas flags. And they started to say, you know, that's for us. So it was confirmed when they got to the event that the people had come out to see them on the way through. And so just a while ago, Mark, he's not here, but he got back to his office, and he sat down at his desk, the newspaper guy, Mark, and his phone rang, and it was the governor. And the governor said, I want to personally run an ad or a story, whatever it takes, to thank all the citizens of Coffee County. Out of all the communities I've ever been at, ever, was the word she used, she's never received a welcome like that. So I just want to tell the commission that was
That's good.
that's big.
Well, hats off to you for getting it all turned around and put.
Everybody else?
Yeah, you and the school and the kids were involved and people were involved, and it was a good.
Had some local business involved too, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep,
Yes,
that's my
sir.
understanding, good deal.
Yes, sir.
It's
Congratulations on that. Good job.
That's good for Coffee County. That's a big win. Next time a grant comes up, maybe if there is an extra look, maybe we get one.
Very good.
That's pretty cool. Hopefully Mark can get it in the paper.
He is working on it. He changed the tail light.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Carl Lee.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Carl.
I'd like to request to go into executive session to include each of the commissioners and county councilor Wade Bowie, discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel regarding evaluation of performance.
20 minutes, you say?
20 minutes forward.
I will move.
I'll second.
Jesse moved, Steve seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will enter at 11:04. 11:04 for 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
I know, they grow quickly. Good morning.
Good
morning.
I know, yeah.
Now we've lost two. We're losing.
They're roaming about.
They're roaming about.
Yeah. Are you going back to it?
Be different.
I'm so excited.
Yay, it's Tuesday.
Do I need to ask again? Or
No action taken on last executive session, is that correct?
Yep.
Now you may. Carl?
I request to go into executive session for 15 minutes to include each of the commissioners and Councilor Wade Bowie to discuss personnel matters of non-elected officials regarding evaluation of performance.
Are you taking Katie too?
Huh?
Are you taking Katie?
Yes, and include Katie Rich. I'm sorry.
Almost got left out.
I
20,
need somebody,
20 or 15?
20.
Yeah.
I'd rather err on.
Yeah. What he said, I'll move.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Who is it?
Don got it.
Don? Okay.
He fired the shot, maybe.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We will enter at 11:30 for 20 minutes.
Oh, hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. Oh, I'm just been on break. Okay,
well,
okay,
see you later.
thanks.
Have a
See
good
ya.
day.
Yep.
Have fun.
You can. Nope. Oh, there you go. Right. I can pull out the chair for you.
I make a motion to go back into executive session for 15 minutes with Commissioner Wade Bowie and Katie Rich.
And under non-elected personnel, evaluation and performance.
And not Carl.
Correct. Just Katie and the board and Wade.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
15 minutes. We will enter at 11:55.
You want lunch?
Going past you, Wade.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just got to turn right around.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I sat down, but I got my thing to do.
Tuesday aerobics. Stair climb.
You bet.
We're back.
We're back.
I think after that executive session, no action's being taken right now. Then the request is another executive session. Myself, the board, and 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, just us.
Well, I think just us.
Okay. 15 minutes.
You guys need any of my paperwork? Okay, just making sure.
And then, 10 or 15 minutes, whichever one you want.
15.
Non-elected personnel, employee performance, evaluation, same subject matter.
I'll second. Or I'll move.
I'll second.
Or Wade's word salad's coming out, so we should go ahead and move and second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will enter at 12:15 for 15 minutes.
You want lunch?
Yeah, you want lunch?
I think your words was, oh, I can't. What's for lunch?
I got some nuts, they're wasabi nuts, you want some almonds?
Sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you don't. I'm with enough nuts. Whew. No, I'm tired of those daggone stairs.
I think we're gonna need to talk about the real-time pay today,
Okay.
because this is the shortest month to do it. So I'm gonna pass this out to you guys when you are done.
Okay. Well, you guys was gonna talk about that in the meeting
I
this
know.
afternoon too,
But
wasn't
if
it?
we get it done this month, then I can't
Next
wait
week
another
won't be,
week,
next week won't be soon enough.
or else you're gonna be paying a lot more days in advance.
That's true. Darn February.
I know.
Oh, they didn't spell my name right.
over there.
They should. Judy Raskies.
Mhm. Are you going back in again, or?
No, I don't think so.
I hope not.
We,
I think about it.
we're waiting on Wade to get here to continue.
Well, do you have a few minutes then?
Yeah, we have a few minutes.
Okay. Okay, so as you guys have been in and out of executive sessions, and I was thinking about this real-time pay, and I remember, went back and found in my email a year ago when we sent it to Christina to get on the real-time pay, and we were gonna do it in February because it's a short month.
Here, I'll just pass them on.
Yeah. So, I put these together for you so we could look at this, so you could see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you look at February, I've got pink and green highlighted there. And I went ahead and highlighted the weekends, but for the sheriff's office purposes only. So if you count Thursday, Friday, that's 1, 2, and then next week's 5, and then 2 more, that's 9 days. If we go ahead, only on the hourly people, it will not affect salary people at all. If we go ahead and add 9 days to their check this month, which is 72 hours, they'll need to save that extra money they get this month to cover their next month's check, because their next month's check will only be from the 1st through the 15th in green there.
So then we're gonna have more days in March that they're gonna be
They'll be
waiting to get their money, basically.
Well,
Am I thinking right?
they'll have 9 days plus then another, so 11 days, so 20 days they'll have, that'll be on their paycheck in March. And typically it's 20, 21, 22 days they get paid.
Okay.
So then we'll cut off on the 15th, and that'll be it. And then the next month will be on regular schedule because they'll be paid from the 16th of March clear through the 15th of April. So the extra they get this month, they need to save back for their March check, because their March check will only be from the 1st through the 15th. And I estimated what the cost would be.
Around 150-some thousand, wasn't it?
No,
It's less
for
than
those 72 hours, it'd be about $14,000.
Oh.
And under 20, you could easily say under 20. I'm getting an accurate number from the sheriff's office. I've already talked to Road and Bridge, and we can still discuss
Realistically,
it.
it's not gonna cost the county taxpayers
No, it
anything.
won't cost you anything.
It's just, they're self-fund, basically, the employees are we're gonna front them the money, and then,
And they're going to have to.
And they're on real time.
they're on real time.
And they're gonna have to make sure that they save that money.
Yeah,
to
and we
compensate
will
for
make
that.
sure everyone is
The
told
short
that.
month
Right.
of March.
We did this, when we changed to the accurate hours each month,
Uh-huh.
we used to estimate the hours monthly too. We told everyone, beware, this is gonna be a short month, or whenever we did that, and they all listened.
It all
and-
worked.
Yeah, it worked
As
out.
far as you know, that's worked well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Just for clarity for everyone outside, that we're not giving them this money.
No.
We're fronting it to them, their employment ends, that's gonna come out of their last check. Am I
Right.
correct?
Right.
Angie?
Yes, and they will, yeah, and they will be on real-time pay, so you won't be estimating anymore.
Right, right.
Well, and realistically, it should have been done a year ago. That's when we was talking about it, because I can remember February was the shortest month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't know where it went.
And then it went away. So,
We may have to clean up a little bit, depending on how things go after, but that's not difficult to do.
I was
It's
gonna
just
say, that's
everyone
a-
has to
that's a
be
pretty easy fix,
understanding.
isn't it?
Yeah, everyone would just, it won't affect your Monday through Friday people at
Right.
all. It won't really affect Road and Bridge, because they're not working extra hours on weekends or anything right now. The only ones it could affect is the sheriff's office, part-time people, and maybe 1 or 2 at Noxious Weed. But otherwise, and there's not even a whole bunch of part-time people, you're talking maybe 15 part-time people, and we can get that cleared up easy, so.
So the check they get here in February will be for 11 days?
It'll be for the whole month of February, and then 9 days
Plus 9.
of March, and then
The whole month of February, then plus
Half of March.
half of March,
Half
that's
of
half
March,
a month.
yeah.
Be paid to the 15th,
Uh-huh.
which would be another 11 days.
I mean, it's something that's a clerical freaking nightmare for.
Oh, I could
For
imagine
payroll.
doing it that way.
I mean,
It is.
we've kicked this can down the highway for
A year.
365 days.
My wife would quit her job if she had to deal with this.
So I would say pending on the discussion that you have this afternoon,
Okay.
I think the board could come to a decision, a joint saying yay, and, do we need to make a motion now? Okay, Wade, we're back on the pay advance for the month of February.
Okay, so here's,
Okay, so you're splitting up.
Go back 365 days to the same date, basically, is what we was talking with Christina. This is the shortest month.
Yep.
To do it.
and we are just about ready to run payroll. We can go ahead and add those 9 days on to the ones who are supposed to get the 9 days. We'll have a difference with Sheriff. Angie's working on that now. We'll have a difference with, Noxious Weed. They're working on that now. All other full-time people would get the 9 days. It won't affect department heads or elected officials because theirs is just paid monthly. And, we'll still stay on the same pay schedule, pay at the last day of the month. Pay, you guys come in and sign just like normal. They'll still turn in everything to us around the 21st. And I went back to my previous email that I talked with Christina on this, and this is what we had originally planned. So if we have to clean up a few things, what I told them later, we can. That won't be a big deal, but at least we'll be on real-time pay. And the extra money they would get on their check this month, they need to save for what they get paid at the end of March next month.
And I was going, they're having a meeting today, there's gonna be the people that's in
Committee.
charge, the committee's gonna be there. Run it past them, make sure there's no problems. If we could give a verbal go-ahead with stemming from the meeting after noon today, roll with it, and not wait till next Monday. We need to make a motion for that.
Yeah, a consensus is different than a green light to go.
Motion based upon, approval of the committee this afternoon. Move to go real-time pay month of February. Then if the committee doesn't approve it, then it dies.
And it's like a contingency motion.
Mhm. Contingent on the meeting this afternoon.
Contingent on the meeting this afternoon.
Well,
How many?
or we can just make it. Or we can just make the motion and not worry about the committee meeting. Just say this is the way it's gonna be.
So,
I mean,
so if you make the motion and you move forward, I guess you have that approval, and if there's an issue, you can revisit it next Monday and undo it if needed, which isn't the preferred way to do it, but you're
Well,
gonna meet with the committee.
Right, we can't, I don't see how we could really undo it next Monday. We have to undo it in the next month's payroll or something. But my only thing I'm thinking about now is when we get to the end of the year, how do they get those last 16th through the end of the year so that it's on this year's payroll?
And that's not figured in this.
No, we were just doing 15th. First, okay, wait, 16th of one month to the 15th of the next month. So when we get to November, they'll get paid 16th through November 15th. And then those last 10 days would be on January's check then.
That was part of the problem, I think it was.
prior to.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall half of it, but there was some sort of scenario that Mr. Kroll had up that be shorted half a month's pay
You're right.
in January. Your January check,
Would be long, because it'd have the December, half of December's pay on it.
something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
So, maybe I guess we could wait, but then, any other month we do it in, it's gonna be 10 days or more.
I think you gotta make it right when you're dealing with employees' money. That's the,
Okay, well,
like kicking the hornet's nest.
Well, you stated something that it's $14,000 to front, $15,000 to front the last of the month's pay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like $150,000.
I just figured
Yeah, the 14, I don't think.
72
14 can't be
hours.
right.
adding 72 hours to most of these people, and what it would have been, the total wages prior to that.
Where's the 72 hours come in from? That's only,
Well, that's only one day.
right.
That's 10.
It should be, the difference should be
Yeah.
about 1/24 of the annual
Yes,
salary.
yeah,
We were
you're
talking
right.
about 15 days.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought we was talking about.
It's approximately 1/24 of our annual
Yeah,
salary.
yeah, it's $200 some thousand.
Yeah, that's what it would be, I'm sorry.
That's a
Which I
big
still
difference.
feel we
Within
need to
one
do
day.
it, but, yeah.
It needs to be done, but I believe that was Richard Crowe that brought up the fact that you'd be gonna get paid the 15th of December's. I don't remember how he worded it, but it didn't matter how he did it, there was an issue somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Not just from Richard, but, so I thought the issues are getting,
You know, the check we issue here at the end of February will be for all of February, and then 11 days
Of March.
11 days of March. Right, at late March 31st, the check will once again represent the last half of February and the first half of March.
Then when you get to December, it would be the last half of November
And
and the first half of December. And then January 15th would be the last half of December and the first half of January.
they're really not missing out.
They're not missing out on anything, you're just putting 15 days or 10 days, whatever it is, of 2023 pay into 2024.
Yes.
Getting paid at the end of your payroll period.
Yeah.
The way this
Right.
is, we're paying for a month extra. Because the end of February, we're paying for all of February, first half of March,
You're paying a half a month.
half a month. But March 31st, once again, we're paying for the last half of February and first half of March.
No,
You get real time.
no.
No. Say that again, Don. Get real time we are. Because we're going to the 15th of March.
We're just paying them the extra money.
Because we're gonna short them.
So they don't run short on cash flow.
And I
The
understand.
pay period's gonna stay the
Understand,
same.
but to me, we're paying an extra.
What she's saying is, your March check,
Is gonna be the
it's only
last.
gonna be for 15 days. That's why the February check reflects
Okay.
the last half of March.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
That's why,
So that
that's why
March
your
31st,
February.
they're gonna get paid for 15 days,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
15 days only,
yes,
because you're fronting them the last half of
Yep.
February.
correct.
You're fronting the
we
first
gotta-
half of March.
We need to pay a half a month at some time.
Yes,
And that happens the end of March.
but the issue that a lot of them had is, I'm not gonna make this amount of money this year, it's gonna be into the first 15 days of next year, which,
In the end, it'll be the same.
in the end, it's the same.
They're gonna have their advance money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I thinking wrong?
He'll have the extra 11 days if they,
My opinion, John, if you did 5 days, that's 40 hours, right?
Mhm.
And then 4 more would be 72 hours, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's what's coming up when I put it in the formula, to add it to 72 hours.
72 hours.
Yeah, it's coming up for just those hourly. The total pay before adding those 72 hours was $635,003, and then after adding it was $649,779, so it was different for $14,000.
$14,776.
We've got one
But if you're paying them for the last half of March, you're paying them for 92 hours.
Yeah.
yeah, the 72 hours is at 9 hours, second half of February.
9 days, yeah.
9 days, yeah.
I'm sorry?
9 days.
9 days,
Yeah.
second, yeah.
What's our monthly payroll roughly?
$635,003,
Okay.
and then with that.
So if we're advancing 2 weeks, why aren't we advancing almost half of that?
We would be.
You are, right?
Yeah.
It's not 15,000. There's
No,
way.
it's gonna be half of that 600. Of course, the
Yeah.
exempt employees aren't involved in that.
Right.
But the others are, it won't be 50% of that 600.
Not of the
But it'll
total
probably be
figure.
40% plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's way more than 15,000.
Why is it not coming up?
In the 9 days, it's short 1 day most of the time, so.
I know February would be the first, or the best month to do it because it's the shortest, but maybe we just need to make sure we're correct before we go dance around somebody's
Okay,
paycheck.
I see what's happening. My formula's wrong, it's adding just $72 to the first
$72
pay, and that's not right, yeah.
Okay, okay.
I wondered what was wrong there.
I just knew that couldn't be
So
right
that's the
because
amount of
we're
hours,
talking way
Angie,
more
that's
money
the
than
amount
that
of
to
hours,
pay
14,000
all of our employees
Yeah.
for.
At our average of 22.35.
Yeah.
14,000.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out what was
14,000.
going on.
I understand.
It'll be
But
72.
I just knew it had to be more.
Yeah,
than
no,
that.
you're right, you're
Yeah.
right.
14,000.
It'll be 72 hours
67
times 140 employees. And times around $23.
So around
It'd be $300,000.
Yeah.
300 and some change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12,000,
Yeah.
10,000, something like that.
That's what I could've swore it was that last time we were talking about this.
Sorry about that, I wasn't trying to.
250
No, I
$300
understand.
sometimes.
No, you're fine, but again, we're dealing with somebody's paycheck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's gonna benefit us any to do it at one certain month as opposed to another, but if we got everybody on board to do it, let's just do it, and then we can worry about the time card thing later.
I agree with you.
And
Tom.
that, even next month may not be bad because there's only got 80 hours at the end of April to hit that time frame you're talking about. When you do that math like that, you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You got 92 hours here,
Mhm.
80 there.
Right, and which this is the shortest one. February
Correct,
is
but
the
you're not-
shortest one, but
You're
we're
not,
just
you're not really gaining because you're paying for all of February plus
half of March.
half of March, which is 92 hours.
Mhm.
So if you wait another month, you're paying for
80
all of
hours.
March and 80 hours of April.
How many hourly employees do we have? You got 135?
Here it's even more.
Yeah, you could probably say that.
Well,
So you take your 72 times
Yeah, it is, yep.
135 employees,
Mhm.
times the average employee salary is 2350,
Yeah,
that's 228,000.
yeah,
So it's gonna be somewhere between 225 and 250.
yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. April would even, that March, April would even be a good time frame.
Yeah. But then you got 80 hours advancement as opposed to 92. And there's,
I guess, yeah, we probably could wait. I could check with some other counties and see how they handle their end of the year. You know, if the last few days go over to the next year or what.
I bet you they just roll over, because your
I think
fiscal
you have
year's
to.
gonna end, start and end on certain days.
Yeah.
So your end's gonna be,
It needs to be the,
I mean, if my guys work, I don't know how to word this exactly, but, all the week of, let's say that was, December,
mm-hmm,
and there's January, and they worked all that week, I don't pay them till Wednesday of next week, so
Right.
half their pay for that week was in 2023, and the other was 2024, I mean,
yeah.
that's essential what you're gonna wind up with, that way all across the world, I mean, or all across the nation.
to keep it real time, that last check they get will be the last half of November, first half of these.
Right.
If you go ahead and pay them the second half of these, then you're gonna have the same
Problem.
same thing you're going through right now for February and March.
And this year, their annual would be less than next year. Next year, it would be,
More, we have to be 15 days
Yeah.
more.
Because you already advanced
Mhm.
yeah.
10 days. Or, yeah, 10 days.
Yeah, 10 days. Okay,
So wait till,
let's discuss it with the group today and try to get something lined out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it wouldn't, but I mean, but it'd be nice to have a discussion.
I would assume Richard is not in that meeting down there today, is he?
I could have it be there.
But I know that's what he brought up last year was how to work out at the end of the year, so, but.
Well, I don't wanna do something, go ahead and move forward without your guys' approval or anything, so.
Well, and I don't wanna do it without everybody, I mean, I don't wanna do it today and everybody goes.
Right.
I didn't
Give
have
them a chance to weigh in
The
on
shotgun
it.
reaction.
Chance to do that, then check and see what that. So that one check will be a half check, but this February check's gonna be a check and a half.
Right.
Correct.
They just gotta,
It just
our
got,
employees are gonna have to learn to adjust for that 30 days.
It's all gonna end up the same.
You can do it any month of the year you want, and it'll still wind up close to the same.
Yeah.
So what's that, is that 3642683, is that here?
No. Oh, yes, it is true, but you, that's a you put your number in.
Okay.
That's not your number.
For this situation, is there a way you could use, pick a number on the pay schedule, run a hypothetical of what it would look like so you can hand it out? Because I think the biggest issue you're gonna have when you go down to try to explain this to everybody is making it make sense initially, and then I think if you have an example, you can hand out and say, here's what this would look like. So if you did it, for example, in February, here's someone positioned during category 50, this is what they make an hour, here's how it would impact them, and then do several months so they can see it on paper. Some people are visual. For me, just trying to look at it and understand it, I probably have a blank stare on my face.
So update any changes
Yes.
on this, because this has my personal email on it,
Yes.
all right, not the email, okay.
Yeah, I agree, but as long, I just wanna make sure everybody's content.
Yeah, I can do that. Oh, sorry.
Get it?
Mm.
Yeah, that's in an hour now, isn't it? 2 o'clock?
Yeah,
Mhm.
unless y'all wanna just hang around. You
Let's,
got lunch?
let's continue with, what Wade has for us.
So there's been a series of executive sessions with no action being taken until the last one, and I think now should be in a spot where action is ready to be taken based on those executive sessions. So, I'm really close to you guys. So, one of the things that's been going on behind the scenes is moving towards an environmental health director and sort of splitting that off from the health department administrator. And I think at this point in time, after some extensive conversations and trying to marry things together, now is the time to probably address that, especially after some of the announcements that were made yesterday, and what may soon be coming to Coffee County. Is that a fair way of saying that?
That is a correct way of saying that, yeah.
So, and then in the very near future, there's also conversations, and it's already been approved by the zoning board, but it hasn't been approved by this board, and a nuisance and abatement code, and that would marry into the environmental health director position as well. So that just has to clear some hurdles before it ends up before this board for final approval. So with that being said, several things need to happen, and I guess Angie's probably gonna let her fingers do the talking and putting some of these motions together, but one of them is a modification or an update to the county health table of organization, and it's I don't know where that mark came from, but Coffee County Health and Environmental Department Table of Organization 2023. In essence, what it's doing is taking the environmental sanitarian position and moving it as a co-equal to the health department administrator. And it's not creating any new positions per se, it's moving it so that that environmental health sanitarian will end up being in a leadership position. Is that a good way of saying that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first step, and
be able to utilize the help of the health department people.
So some of the support staff.
Yes.
Is the idea, from what I understand. So at this point in time, that environmental health director, the person who would slide into that position would be Carl Lee, and he would transition to that position, which would then leave the health department administrator position open for a moment. Is that a good way of saying that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first thing is to make a motion to adopt the Coffee County Health and Environmental Department Table of Organization 2023, and that's what this is. You want to hand it across? And it's not removing the environmental sanitarian position at all. It's moving that into a position in line with the health department director, and that's in anticipation of some of what's coming in the very near future for Coffee County. And I don't want to speak for any of you, that's my understanding, so please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with the way you said it and the way it's probably headed. I think this is a good move for us, where Carl can devote his attention to that. So with that being said, I'll move to adopt.
Do you want to read this, if it's okay with you?
Careful, and don't push too far.
You want me to pull it up on the tablet? Would that be?
Sure.
That way I
You
can.
can see it right there.
Where's the power on this?
The big button on the bottom center, and then flip up,
Yeah. And scroll up.
probably did.
Yep, okay.
Scroll all the way
Clear
down,
down the bottom and
just above to do.
Yes.
take out some of that?
I'd add, table of organization 2023, because that's what it says. You don't have it in front of you.
Okay. Is the rest okay?
The word equivalent, I think, there's a different word that was.
Co-equal?
Okay. You like co-equal?
I think co-equal.
Okay.
Again.
There you go. Bingo.
So,
Want me to read the motion?
I've got, yeah.
Okay. Motion is to move, to adopt Coffee County Health and Environmental Department Table of Organization, date 2023, creating environmental health director that would be co-equal to health department administrator under the direction of the Board of County Commissioners.
So moved.
Tom's moved.
I'd second that.
Wade seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. That's one.
So the next motion would then be to move Carl Lee from the Health Department Administrator into the role of an Environmental Health Director. And probably have in that, my understanding is, if that occurs, there would not be a pay change.
Correct.
Correct.
So that probably needs to be in the motion as well.
Right. Same way.
And I assume you want that to occur immediately?
Correct.
That's my impression.
Effective immediately, yes. Brief, what?
Yep.
2/21/23.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. I'll second. Been moved by Don, seconded by McCurry. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion.
Well, and she quit typing.
What?
I said, we almost approved the motion before you got done typing.
No, she was typing in who moved and so on
I
and so
know.
forth.
But since it's showing up on here, you're seeing it real
Yeah.
time.
Right. It's cool.
Kind of funny.
It's pretty neat.
So next, now we have a vacant, Health Department Director, or Health Department Administrator position, so two things need to happen there. One is for somebody to move to name,
Intern.
Katie Rich as the interim Health Department Administrator. With no change in wage, but with a stipend of $1,000 per month until the position is filled.
Do we need to have, she's currently working 3 days a week. Now she's gonna be working 4 days, so we need to have that identified to justify the stipend.
I mean, you can.
She's gonna give
you-
wages for the fourth day.
Yeah, you can mention that during the discussion part, that that's why that's being done, so. In essence, maybe to touch on what you're talking about. Ms. Rich is, a 3/5, is it 3/5 or 2/5 employee? 3/5 employee. And would not be full-time, but would be increasing her weekly, time in office or time on the job. With that being said, that's the justification for the additional stipend, in addition to taking on the, director, administrator role in an interim time period. Is that a fair way of saying that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Motion reads as follow, to name Katie Rich as interim health department administrator with no change in wage, but with a stipend of $1,000 per month until position is filled.
So moved.
With, only thing you need to do after per month, similar to the motion before, effective immediately to 21/23, and effective until the position is filled.
Sorry, what he said.
Does anything need to be said about the max time that she,
Hopefully,
no?
that
I'm just
will be,
asking.
that will be addressed with the next request.
Moved by Hugutin,
I'll second.
seconded by McCurry. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
And then the final thing that needs to occur, although Ms. Rich is named the interim health department administrator, the position will not stay in an interim status for hopefully very long. As such, there needs to be a motion to allow, I'm not sure if it's Angie or someone within the county, to advertise as soon as possible for the health department administrator position, and probably need to establish some dates for those applications to be submitted no later than what day at 5 o'clock, and to be turned into the Coffee County Clerk's office.
If we get it in next week's paper, I'm assuming we can, because the job description is pretty much writ, am I correct?
Correct.
So, getting in this week's paper would be difficult. Next week would be easier. So if we ran that to, April 7th or the week of the 10th, where we could be doing interviews before the end of April, get this done in a timely manner. I don't know if we need 30 days advertisement, 20 days advertisement.
So today is the 21st.
Correct. And like I say, you're not getting it in this week's paper.
Yep.
You can get it in next week's.
So that's gonna be the last day of the month.
Yeah, so basically, the first week of March is advertising, second, third, fourth, fifth week of March advertising.
So the whole month of March would be advertising.
Yep.
Cut off, applications the
7th of April.
7th to 14th of April.
Is that maybe stretching it out too far?
I would suggest it's advertised next week, and then have a deadline of March 3rd at 5 o'clock.
March 3rd.
April 3rd.
No,
March 3rd?
Nope, I'm looking at the wrong, sorry.
I say, man, that's next week.
There's a cool calendar she just gave
To
me.
me, the 24th of March or the 31st, those are both Fridays.
You'd say the 31st of March. would
I
be-
think 31st of March would be plenty of time.
Yep, March 31st.
Good.
Okay. That's 4 weeks.
All right.
Do you want me to go ahead and put that ad in the paper then? I have the verbiage and everything.
So you can pick up a job description, Katie can get it to you.
Yeah.
We just need to make sure it has the current language and what needs to be in there.
Yeah, input from her on that, please.
And the only thing that, I don't know if the last one says it, but I think it's beneficial to put position open until filled on everything. That way, the hope would be you have it filled, but that way you're not stuck with applications closed on that date if you wanna do something to start over.
Okay.
Well, then why do you have a deadline? Why do you have a cutoff on applications?
Because you'd like to have at least some people who are gonna apply, they know that that's a date that you're not gonna consider any of the applications until after that date, but it's open until filled. I mean, you gotta have a time when people can get it in.
So I just trying to run it through my little pea brain here.
Back to what's up here, sorry.
I guess that's 35 days of advertising, that's.
You can reach everybody by then, give them something to consider.
Well, and the health department might want to advertise somewhere too.
Yeah, Katie may have ideas.
They might have ideas where they might want to throw some wordy verbiage out and
Yep.
try to pull some people out of the health department world versus newspaper world.
But that gives you the time to get it to Mark so that it can be advertised right now.
Okay, next motion. To allow county clerk to advertise for health department administrator position and for applications to be returned to the county clerk's office by March 31st, 2023 at 5 p.m. I would like to also add in that to allow county clerk and interim health department administrator advertise. So both of you can?
You can have it in the paper and she can place it where she thinks it'd be beneficial to her.
Okay.
Try to locate who they're looking for.
Right. And I will move on that motion.
I will second that one.
Moved by Knight, seconded by Hugan. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bowie.
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, sometimes it's just
Easier.
navigating around.
I believe so. I'll just, we're around the table.
The other thing that needs to be done, there's a new position now for the Carl's position that does not have a job description. So there's a job description that he'll bring next week that had a couple tweaks to it, and we just have to make sure it's on the to-do list for the board to adopt that.
That job description for his position that he's filling now.
Yep. There's a proposed job description, but it had some tweaks that needed to be made, so it's not ready to finalize now, but just so it doesn't get lost, I just wanted it to be.
We're filling the position of a position that needs some tweaks before we adopt the position.
Although he's not, yeah. I guess you can, well. Nothing is changing for him, although Andy, would he need a new? For payroll, something?
Payroll notice,
Yeah.
just for his title, or, I mean, we can take it out in the minutes too, either way.
But nothing needs to formally be done right now to deal with that? Okay.
Because his pay is not changing.
Yep. So.
And he'll still be paid out of health, right?
Yes.
He'll fall into that department.
Yeah. At this time, anyway.
So I think as long as that gets changed next week, the formalization of that position or title, I don't think it needs to hold things up right now.
We will have to add him to our CP4U.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to redo that again.
Yeah.
Do you want me to fix that real quick or not?
No, that's not.
Cause I gotta mail out, I gotta send out everything to department heads. Well, it's okay, we can do it later.
Yeah. I forgot about the CP4U.
Not a motion to go through to make a motion.
That ain't no lie.
Because you're adding a new title to the CP4U.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which,
Why couldn't
yes
you,
and
why
no,
couldn't
because
you
Maryland was in that
just,
position.
why couldn't you just put health administrator and, what was his? Environmental under the same category? Just like economic development includes zoning pay.
Like you just created a new.
Mhm.
If they're co-equal, they're gonna be the same pay.
Yeah, but
I think it's a whole new position, so it's a director.
Environmental Health Department, Health Director. I mean, we're not adding anybody, we're filling Maryland's position.
In essence, yeah, that's what.
And then we'll be winding up filling Carl's position with the health department.
Right.
So we're not adding any jobs, we're just switching and moving around,
hold on, you wanted to-
playing chess.
Yeah.
But Maryland's position was in the pay scale, and this position is not, so it's.
You're talking this thing.
Yes. So this is, you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. He's a department head now, not just a employee or, yeah.
We can do a revised for you real quick.
Environmental sanitation's in there. 50.
No, you're right, but he's taking a director position,
Which was an hourly, now he's a department head, which is salary. That was hourly.
so because he's not on the pay scale, he has to be here, because he's a administrator or a director.
Right.
Can we just do another motion to revise the CP4U?
Sure, you get it typed up, somebody will read it.
Okay.
Or did I misunderstand, Jesse?
I knew where he was going, I knew where both of you was going, and I get what you're saying, because, yeah, no, he's not an hourly like Maryland was. We've created a department, which makes.
Right, but it would make him a 50, it would make him
Maryland's salary, I'm sorry, hourly.
Well, I brought up the Maryland thing earlier because when you look at what Maryland was making before she retired, what Carl is making now, there was not a drastic difference.
I see.
That's the only reason I
Right.
brought that in,
Right.
to say that even though we're putting Carl in as a, separating it from the health department, but yet not.
Yeah, it'd make him a 50, step 22. That's what it would be. I mean, within a couple $100 worth, but still.
Yeah.
Hey, if you look, I got it out there.
Okay.
Oh, Lordy.
You
authorize director chairman to sign revised CP4U.
And actually, do we need to correct that to today's date? Oh, I guess it says 3/1.
Oh, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
No, wait a minute. Yep, let me fix that.
You're gonna go back to 2/1.
So it would have to be today, because we just created that position today. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But this was a revised from last week that had this messed up as well.
So what's today, 21?
Today's 21.
Okay.
2/21, 23.
How's that one? I'll get you to it.
You haven't typed much today.
It'll be a lot worse if I was doing the typing, I assure you that.
I'm not 60 words per minute, but hey, I'm doing pretty good for no gal. It's pretty good.
Do they gotta be legible words?
We'd be ordering.
Spelled right?
Typing.
Typing, yeah.
We got spell check on my
Oh, do you?
We'd be ordering supper if I was typing it, okay?
Well, today they're
Thank you.
not working real well. I don't know what's going on.
All right. Third time the charm, right? Oh, throwing stuff on the floor.
Been everything.
All right. Motion to authorize director chairman to sign the revised CP4U. I'll move.
So I'll second.
Moved by Knight, seconded by Huguenin. Any discussion?
You wanna say adding the new position of environmental health director? That way if somebody goes,
Who?
Yeah, you can do that. Angie don't care.
Adding the environmental,
Development director.
Health director. Environmental health director.
That's right, I'm sorry.
you wanna say effective 2/21/23?
Yeah, works for me. I'm happy.
did I hear a bird?
Yeah, you heard the owl.
Oh.
The owl kicked the
I
bucket down
kicked
there.
the cord
She
out, and I
kicked the
put it
cow.
back in.
She kicked the owl.
It's like, where?
Any further discussion?
Okay, whatever.
Hearing that,
Just leave it to me.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I'm signing this thing. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm dating 2/21/23.
Yeah. The real deal. All right. Now we got this letter.
Now we got the letter.
This one?
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure everybody had time to read it, and the newer commissioners kinda knew. And I didn't realize it'd been since 2019 that we hired Cook, Platt and Strobel to, be the,
It's been a few days.
yeah, so we hired Cook, Platt and Strobel to put together a community development plan for throughout the county, so to speak. They went to each city, met with city, council members, several things, and created, and I don't know, you guys, were you guys here when Sabian come in, he presented the book of projects that he had?
Yes.
Applying for grants, okay.
That was sometime, I mean, that was, before the first of the year, probably, what, or was
That was right after the first
Or maybe
year.
right after the first of the year.
I can't remember when it was, I just wanna make sure we was all on the same page.
Well, I know Tim was still in here because there's something about the trails out throughout the county and,
That's right.
and Tim wanted that taken away
Taken
before he
away.
brought it back.
So that was,
And he did take it away.
Yep, and then, so I think the very next week, I think we approved it with him taking that out, and it hasn't been brought back to the two new commissioners. Yeah.
Right. But basically, all this is doing is just allowing him to apply for the grants, by the way and you've read this, Wade?
That's just a letter of support.
Correct.
Just, the motion just needs to be tweaked a little bit.
So at this point, until they're applied for, we don't have any idea of what money would be available. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, I'll put it this way, and I said this to Mr. Skipper this morning. I mean, I'm looking at a project in Auburn, Kansas, where they got federal money to do a ditch lantern. I mean, so there's all kinds of money out there for all kinds of things, towards I'm assuming the city of Auburn only has to pay 20% of this, close to a $500,000 project. So I'm not sure why any entity wouldn't jump on board for something like that. I mean, I've looked at the project. It looks like it's going to be very beneficial to the city as well as the residents around, just like these trails and these lakes that Quick Flat and Strobel's suggesting we do. It's going to be beneficial to any city, any community, and not to mention when the CHIPS thing goes through, I don't think we're, as a county, gonna grow tenfold or nothing like that. I mean, you're gonna grow some, but let's be prepared for when that happens by giving the newcomers to our community a place to go and fish, hike, walk, whatever. I mean,
See where they wanna land that before maybe they land.
Correct.
You
And
know?
yes, I mean, and you just make yourself presentable to, I'm out early in the mornings, sometimes come home late in the evenings, and I've got people, you know, walking, jogging down 16th Street. There's no sidewalk for them to get off the street, so you have to be, if somebody's not paying attention, somebody's gonna get hurt someday. It's never a matter of if, it's always a matter of when. So I think it's beneficial, and it's got my support.
If you go down into Allen County, and I think Bourbon County is doing that now as well, their trails program is something that is very well received, very well used. In fact, Lieutenant Governor David Tola, when he was in charge of or running Allen County Drive, was very instrumental in that project. And if you go down there, I know a number of people who use those trails on a regular basis. So,
Well, I commend the city of Lebo, your lady there at the city that writes your grants.
City clerk, Carrie.
She does a bang-up job. She's the one responsible for, if you've been through Lebo, the entire downtown streetscape that's been created. It's awesome.
Mhm.
And it's awesome, and now she's working on one, if I remember, and it came by you earlier. She, you know, Casey's moved to the north. They are now working on getting a shovel-ready project to apply for a grant to go from the city limits, or from the school down to Casey's. A sidewalk.
For a sidewalk, right.
So that the kids after school, before school, don't have to ride their bicycle down the highway to get to the city on the sidewalk.
I know that was a concern when Casey's was built out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was.
They're planning to remedy it, the way I understand it, so very good.
And Casey's ought to throw some money at that, because that would be very helpful for kids to come down there and spend more money.
Basically benefit
You know?
It would.
It would benefit everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Well, he tweaked it.
Oh, he
So,
did?
move to authorize and direct.
Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry, I don't know.
Just one of those days.
Telling you.
That's how my day started. That's why I went fishing. Good idea.
All right.
You don't want to see me in a public setting.
Get
Move.
the hammer, see, we'll fix it.
Move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the letter in support of the 2023 U.S. Department of Transportation Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Raise Grant Application. Are you caught up?
No, go back, okay, we're 2023 U.S. Department of Transportation.
Rebuilding America,
Yep.
American infrastructure.
With Sustainability and Equity Raise Grant application on behalf of Coffee County, Kansas,
On behalf of the Coffee County.
on behalf of Coffee County, Kansas, for the planning and design of the county citywide trails network.
I'll make that motion.
Steve moved. I'll second.
You can read mine.
Meat seconded.
Okay.
Chicken scratch.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
I picked up some of those papers that grabbed some of your stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's why I kept passing it back to you.
Angie?
Yeah.
Sometime today, could I get a copy of the hospital board meeting?
Sure.
Minutes?
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't have to do it right now, but I
Yep,
just.
nope, that's fine, yep,
I'd like that.
okay.
Either that or I take that one home.
Yeah, either way, I've got a
Yes.
copy, so I can do
I
that.
think we do. If people want to go through and look at it, I think. that's what we bring it here.
Yeah.
I think we're roundtable. Wade, you got anything for roundtable?
Couple of executive sessions or
Go ahead and kick it on into 4 o'clock.
No, just an update on meeting with Christina to cover the topics that were discussed with the board. She's gonna work on the leadership manual. She is working on the revisions, and she indicated she'll come back before the board in the very near future to address those changes and modifications. There were, I guess there was a discussion about vacation and sick time, as we brought up last week, the difference between what the new policy manual suggests and what the old policy, well, the current policy manual has in it, and she indicated that the changes were made at the request of the board, but the current or existing policies related to vacation and sick time are in line with other counties she works for, so she'll bring that up, and you'll get to make a decision on whether it should be changed or leave it the same. So, anything else with that, Angie?
No, you already talked about the probationary period and all that too?
Yep.
Did you mention that to them? Okay.
Is that it?
That's all I have for today, and then I saw on the to-do the rental agreement, so.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, but you did. I have forwarded that on to Amy Bailey, Kevin and Amy. They was frantic this weekend, ball games and so on and so forth. I said it'd be best just to email it to you, so I did email it, forwarded it to him, and they're supposed to be reviewing it, and if there's any issues, they're gonna get back with me on it, so. Mr. Steve?
No, not, the only thing, at the last, when we met with the head last week, and you can correct me if something was brought up about comp time on comp time, when it could be used. And how's it set right now?
I think everybody kinda does it, you know,
Okay.
within a few months.
Okay,
I think originally it's supposed to be used like within that pay period, but sometimes it doesn't work out
I
that
guess
way.
that was the concern, so, I mean, the comp time thing, personally, I think it could be, you know, if it was used within the 6 months or
I
something.
think that's one of the last things I heard, was 6 months.
Right. There was just a concern on if it was to be used within that pay period, that was really hard to make it work.
You
that
could
way.
have half your staff gone.
Exactly.
Especially if it's at the end of the month.
And again, it was just discussed at that time, and then the other thing that was, we discussed, I think at the last board meeting, was the evaluation side of things.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The way I gathered, and again, I was just listening, but the way I gathered is that the evaluation side, a lot of the heads really didn't think that it did a lot of good. At the time of evaluation, in other words, it should have already been handled. If there was an issue within that department, and maybe I read it wrong, but I just,
Right.
I took away from it was that, for the most part, they really didn't like the evaluation side of it.
Nobody likes being the bad guy.
Well, no, I don't think it was that, Jess, I just think it was, that if there was an issue, that it was handled at that time rather than at evaluation time. Is that making any sense at all?
Well, and as long as a person doesn't reward the one that had the issue when it comes to step increase time. You know, I mean, if there's an issue with an evaluation or an issue throughout the year
Right.
before step increases, as long as that is documented, if they document that, then come through and that individual doesn't get a step increase, then you can say, well, Billy or Susie, we had issues back in August, here was the...
No, and I think that was
issue.
brought out also, that documentation was so very important as far as any retribution or anything. And that was just brought up as a concern, and then we talked about evaluating the heads.
The department heads.
And how do we know how to evaluate? I mean, other than, how do we evaluate a department head? I mean, we don't work with them all the time. I mean,
And you might be evaluating somebody that you don't know anything about.
do I?
Yeah, I mean, you might be evaluating somebody that you don't know anything about.
Exactly.
You know, so how do
And
you
that was,
evaluate
and that was something else that was brought up. I mean, nothing, it was just concerns that was brought out, guys.
That's one of the concerns I've had since I've been involved in it, and I'm probably the reason we don't evaluate department heads, because we never worked with them, other than we worked with Wade and Angie more than any of the others.
Right.
Back 5-6 years ago, most of the department heads came in and give us a 10-minute or 15-minute update. Maybe even once a month, or definitely once a quarter.
And that was brought up also.
And there's probably some value to that. At least we're kept more up to date than what we are right now. And not to be critical of our department heads.
No, and that's it. And that was also brought up about, you know, it had been brought up that monthly they would come in, but whether it be monthly or quarterly, even quarterly would be.
To me, quarterly probably satisfactory.
And
Unless
that's
something
the way
special comes up.
That was what was brought up at the last meeting, and that's, you know, I thought viable concerns, and it was good to hear from the heads on what they thought. I mean, whether you agree or disagree, it's still good to hear from those folks. And that's all I've got.
Well, and like I say, I think it's very important that the department heads report into the commission. Like you say, rather it be monthly. Some of them probably could handle monthly. You know, I really think.
It was that way 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's up for debate on whatever, but I think it'd be a good idea to have the department heads give a report, whether it be monthly or quarterly or whatever. I don't think that was really a big item one way or the other. It was.
Yeah, we let them
what do we
know.
want?
Yeah.
Basically, what do we want them to do, and they'll do it.
Exactly.
If we want to spend every Monday afternoon or morning in here with us versus out with the other employees that
Yeah.
they're supposed to be over.
Yeah.
So I think that up until COVID, they all came in once a month. So what you might consider doing is stagger them out, have one each week. And then Road and Bridge, as you remember, was in every week, and that got changed to every other week because I think, in my opinion, they can get what they need done every other week. So fill in, have emergency management on the first Monday and whoever on the second Monday and third Monday. That way you're not stacking them all at one time. Then if they need to come in before you talk about something, they can get on the agenda and do that.
And Road and Bridge are really good about doing that anyway, aren't they? I mean,
Well, Connie came in today,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
her report.
right.
Amber's on for the last day of the month, so they're starting to let me know when they can come in, so.
Good.
We haven't heard anything from the airport for a long time.
I think some of the departments that have their own boards, like the
Right,
airport.
and hospital.
I'm not sure we need to hear from them all that much, but it probably wouldn't hurt to have some communication quarterly on the departments that have a board, so to speak.
Do we get the minutes from the housing authority? Does that come?
Didn't that come through or not? I thought they were in that.
The housing authority? Is that what you guys got?
No, they got
I think it's in the, I think it's in.
It's in the book, okay. Okay, I was gonna ask for them, so.
I think it's,
that's who it was, I think.
Was there correspondence?
That I saw.
So I was gonna say, there's something in correspondence.
Yeah,
I think
here
it's
it is.
in correspondence, we synced it.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Do you want a copy of these?
Can I have a copy of them, please?
A couple of them.
Okay.
I got my emails again.
Some of that stuff I get via email, some of it I don't.
Dawn, let's see, we done with Steve, went to Dawn?
I'm sorry.
Where's you for roundtable? You got anything for roundtable?
I don't have anything, that's what Steve talked about here a while ago, on how to evaluate people. To me, it's just impossible. Maybe not totally impossible, but it's nearly so, when we don't technically oversee them, so. I would like to see the department heads, they wouldn't, with that one each week, they wouldn't have to come before the commission except once every 2 months, maybe. And Angie could set that up for you.
Yeah. So you think every couple
And
months?
even if it's only 5 minutes or 10,
Right.
at least we got some communication back and forth.
At the minimum, every couple months, and then those that wanna come in more often, okay.
Yep.
Mr. Wade?
Well, I'll try not to take up too much time. I attended the Kansas Works, meeting in Independence last Thursday. They, I thought I was already appointed to that position, but they nominated me. I thought they were trying to nominate me to be in charge of it or something, and I declined. And then they said, no, we just want you on the board. So anyhow, I accepted their nomination, but I was really impressed. Several ladies give great presentations, and I was totally unaware of all the things that they offered. I mean, they're, for instance, they've got a virtual interview platform that people can sign up for and do a mock interview on the internet and basically learn how to do an interview to be more successful at securing a job. At the end of the interviews in this, it would grade their performance. They're working on programs for child care to help with that. Oh gosh, I don't know, so many things. They're doing, they've got, until their funds are used up every year, they're doing, offering CDL training. They've got a success story here. This guy says he didn't know where he would be if it wasn't for this program. He's he's got a over-the-road job now that he's driving. In the adult education, they're even got some programs for people with autism. They've got 5 adults that are in that program now. Youth success stories. You know, there's a young man in the Pittsburgh area who they helped get his GED, and he started on as a maintenance helper in a local nursing home, and taking more training and going from a part-time to a full-time. Got a wage increase.
Advancing his life.
Exactly, and he just you know, he says he's very thankful for all the patience and support provided by these people. You know, young lady that had somewhat of some handicaps, were you might say dealing with the public, but she had a degree in hairdressing. They got her set up with a place in her own home where she's doing that in her home. Another young lady here who was working at a barbecue restaurant, and you know, got her some training, and now she's an office manager at a church, and she's working on getting more IT skills and everything. I was just really impressed by all the things that they had available. It was mostly federally funded, a little part of it state funding, but they've got a lot of programs that I don't know how to get that out better, how people can be aware of what's offered, but you know, get in touch with these people. You know, there's Katie Givens is a lady that's in Emporia. I mean, my position is for Coffee, Greenwood, and Lyon, but it's all, you know, southeast Kansas is what this whole, there was, I think, five different commissioners that belong to this board. I was pretty impressed. Yeah.
Sounds like they do a lot.
Yeah, a lot of things available, sounds like, and some of it is only available until the funds run out for that calendar year, but regardless, it was, lots of things are year-round, you know.
So people don't know if they don't call.
That's right.
And check to see what's available.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to learn more about it so I can spread the word a little better, but I was impressed. That's all I've got, guys.
Welcome back. Mr. Coleman? Is that all you had, Wade? Sorry.
Yeah, as I said, that's all I've got, yeah.
Mr. Coleman?
All mine's been covered, 100%.
And?
We'll get further here at 2 o'clock in about 10 minutes.
Yes, I'm trying to get out of here.
We're kicking you out.
Steve something to eat.
Will you, Angie, do you have any roundtable?
I do. So I talked to the KCCA on the conference, and they didn't even have everything prepared yet for this year. So what I printed you before was from last year, which we discussed that. So this week I'm able to start scheduling, and so Wade has said that he would like to go, so I will be getting you scheduled this week.
Okay.
I couldn't schedule you last week because they didn't have the hotel rooms open yet, so.
That's fine.
So we will get you on that. So anyone else that you.
And that's on that April.
Yes, April 25th to April 27th. So that, and then, do you want the department head, and elected officials to come every 2 months too, or request that of them anyway?
I don't think so.
Or just their department heads?
No, just department heads, like.
Okay. I didn't know.
What have we got? Treasurer, going down the hallway, then it goes clear down to the health department.
And registered deed.
Yeah, but she's elected.
Right.
That's what.
Treasurer.
So the treasurer.
I didn't mean treasurer, appraiser.
Yeah.
I meant to say appraiser, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Appraiser, health
I thought you were
department.
naming the ones that weren't been named.
Not for Sweden recycling.
Yeah, you guys.
You guys.
Doesn't sound like he wants to see
That
us.
group. It's always a pleasure to see you. But I mean, we don't have that many non-elected departments, I guess, is where I'm at with it.
And I think that's all I have.
Okay. I don't have anything. I told what I know about the rental agreement. property agreement up north.
Okay, okay.
Yesterday was a great day with the governor coming in.
That was a good day.
Yes.
Those that missed it, you missed it.
I just think we really got a great group of people all around that's heading up this project, and, looks really positive to me.
Mr. Skipper takes very little credit for this, but there is a lot of work that man is doing.
A lot.
Over and
Yes.
beyond his
Yes,
call
sir.
of economic development, I feel, so.
I watched it on TV, I didn't see you.
I was in the corner. I was actually the first one to shake, Kelly's hand.
Yeah.
So, maybe a second, but, I was trying to stay out of the limelight. Like I said, I got a face for radio, so.
How many was there from Washington DC?
I don't know if there was any of them from DC. There
Yeah,
might have been-
there was a young man from.
Two or three of them that I
There were
recognized.
two or three.
I'm a little bit surprised they maybe did at least have a sign in.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know exactly where all the people were from, what the responsibility's for, but
Oh, I bet Bobby could tell you who all was there.
Did someone record that thing? I mean,
Yes, I believe Mark has it.
that's just what I was
Paper.
wondering. I'd like to have a, I'd like to watch it again.
Yeah. So, other than that, I don't have anything, other than hats off to everybody that worked on it yesterday, the school, all the businesses, so.
There was a lot of work that went into everything on there.
Can I borrow your chart, just so we can track it? I'll give it back to you.
I scribbled on mine a little bit.
Sorry, I just don't wanna highlight more right now, but I'll give it back to you.
On this calendar.
Yeah, unless you wanna take it, we can pass one around.
I'll put it here somewhere.
If nobody has anything else, other than surrendering your calendar.
But I will return.
Well,
I guess we'll give it up.
Okay.
That's good.
I'll give it back.
That's good.
We'll adjourn at 1:55. Kill the switch.
Ta-da!
Okay.
I could run.